Disclaimer, we'd like to note before the start of this interview that the opinions about to be expressed by the guest on tonight's Gettin Salty Experience podcast are that of the guest and do not directly or necessarily reflect the views of the host of the Gettin Salty Experience podcast.
You're listening to the Gettin Salty Experience podcast.
Hello! That's right. Hello. We got somebody who can put the fucking fire out tonight, right, Roof? Been a couple busy places, this guy.
Nah, come on.
Two, Borough Fire. Welcome back, guys, to the Gettin Salty Experience podcast. The only one that brings the Firehouse kitchen table to you. Who we got? Johnny Albanese. Kevin Malone is back. William Cooney Looney. Who else is here? Darren DeFries. Who else? Procaccini. There's a whole bunch of guys. Welcome back to the show. Johnny Albanese. We'll be doing Monroeville again. Come out and see us.
Come on out.
That's the
Bring Yin's kids.
Bring Yin's kids. Anyway, welcome back, Ruff. I hear you're getting like 8 feet of snow up there. Is that true?
You're not too far behind.
No?
I think 16 now they're talking.
Yeah, 16.
So we got that going for us,
But
which
you
is
got
nice.
you got a plow and you got snow blowers, right?
I do.
I got a couple of snow blowers, except they got slanted eyes. They're my kids. I throw them out there. A couple of Asians, put them in the
Couple
front
of
yard with
shekels?
shovels. Yeah, give them a couple of dollars. So you
Couple
go out
of
there,
dollars.
you shovel that snow. Don't come in until it's. I don't care if it's above your head. Don't come in until it's all clear out there, right? You want to eat tonight, don't you?
Where's Guns? Where the hell's Guns?
Who?
Who?
Never heard. He's a busy guy now. He can't come. He's not training chief anymore.
Oh, he's
Don't worry
working? I
about-
thought he was on a cruise. Is he cruising?
I don't know. Is he? No,
I
it
think
says
so.
John's working. He must be on a cruise.
Nobody
or
knows.
something.
Nobody
He
knows.
didn't load the pictures in. He don't have to do that. He's fine.
If he didn't load the pictures, he's on the cruise.
He must.
He's
be on
like
a
in the
cruise, right?
Bahamas.
He's
Yeah.
working. I'm calling shenanigans on that bullshit. He ain't working. He's on a cruise. He's got the pineapple upside down on the side of his fucking door. Is what he's got.
Listen, he goes on a lot of cruises, so I would imagine that there's some pineapple involved. I don't know.
No doubt.
It's
No
got to
doubt.
be, right?
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to play the because I'm running this show tonight. In case you didn't know, you know I had that rules.
I get that feeling.
Yeah. So I'm going to throw the first one on, which is the membership. Not only am I working on the rescue in the 90s, I just started working on pole box, the history of pole boxes in New York City.
Really?
So all this information coming in, plus that, you know what? Let me just play the commercial for $4.99 a month. Play the commercial.
Looking to take your love for the fire service to the next level? Then join the Gettin Salty Experience YouTube Premium Membership Club, where the stories burn hotter and the history runs deeper. As a member, you'll unlock exclusive content you won't find anywhere else, from History with Hashhagen, where you dive into legendary FDNY fires and the men who fought them, to feature-length documentaries spotlighting the rich and gritty history of the FDNY, told the way only Gettin Salty can. You'll also get early access to special interviews, behind-the-scenes content, and members-only perks designed with our most loyal followers in mind. Joining is easy. Just hit that join button right in our YouTube channel and become part of the Brotherhood. Support the show, celebrate the job, get and stay salty.
Crying out loud, Get and Stay Salty, Hashhagen's, all his stuff, all of our original content. $4.95 a month, you can't beat it. We will be this week. Is it this week? Yes. Actually, next week. I'm sorry. Come out and see us at the Long Island Metro Buff Show, January 30th to February 1st, Nassau Coliseum. It's all the big wigs hang out.
Good thing that wasn't this weekend.
Yeah, we would be snowed in.
Wow.
Yep. Bring my snowshoes. So I have them.
Shoes. So I have
Yep.
them.
Yep. So if you want to come out, a lot of big wigs show up. That guy Jardin used to show up, but he's down in Florida right now. He can't make it. He's lathering himself up with some
Chasing a white ball around. That's what he's doing.
Yeah. So that's where we'll be. And then also I will be in Texas. You know what happens in Texas, right, Ruff?
Steers and queers.
Yep. At the Joey D. I'll be down there doing a class or a speech on the Father's Day fire 25 years later. Me and Johnny Gaines. Come out and see us at the Joey D. seminar. And one more commercial we got to play before we bring in Chief Jardin, and that would be our new sponsor, Roof. You know who he is.
Oh,
I mean,
Jagged Eddie.
Mr. Dragon Eddie, dragging it.
When an elevator emergency happens, being prepared matters, and the people trapped inside are counting on you. At Dragon Rescue Management, we specialize in elevator emergency management training, built for fire departments, first responders, and safety teams who refuse to leave preparedness to chance. Our elevator industry experienced and seasoned fire service instructors bring decades of real-world elevator rescue knowledge, teaching cutting-edge proven rescue procedures and passenger release techniques that put safety first every time. And we don't just teach it, we equip you for it with professional patented-grade elevator rescue kits, polling tools, and unexpected movement kits designed for performance under pressure. DRM also provides custom elevator door training aids that allows you to practice the skill set from our training in the comfort and safety of your firehouse. Don't wait for the next stalled occupied elevator call to test your crew. Get trained, get equipped, and be ready. Set yourself up today at dragonrescue.com because readiness isn't optional.
And thank you, Rev, throwing some money into Super Chat, and Howard Faust, whatever that is at the end. I can't figure that out. But the Rev is in Texas. Maybe he'll come see me at the Joey D. I love the Rev and his wife. Good people. Good people.
Clears in Texas.
Oh, stop it. Will you? I mean, what's in Florida?
Horns on you.
What's in Florida besides Chief Jardin? He's down there with the rescue contingency, lather each other up with sunblock.
I don't think that's going on down there.
No, you don't think so?
No, come on.
A lot of Rescue 2 fire stories, you think?
Heavy fire stories, yeah.
Everyone begins with "There I was," right?
Me, no.
All right, let's bring him in here, Ruff. You do we don't have the sound effects, so we're gonna because all we need is the sound effects, and we don't need Gonzo anymore. I mean, right? I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it out there.
You just got to get a wig, and then and we'll be fine.
Oh, come on with the wig.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be good.
He's going to call in a panic. What do you mean? You sure you're here? Take it easy, all right?
I won't take any more cruises.
Yeah.
All right. You ready?
Bring him in, bro. Bring him in.
He's all right. Coming to the stage, Assistant Chief Joe Jardin.
Woo! Oh, I got to bring him in. Already fucked up. There we go.
Right. So, is it a wig or a rug? We're gonna.
Nice.
I
came upstairs. I told my wife.
I'm just curious. What's this pineapple you talk about?
You know what the pineapple is? You know what the pineapple is. Upside down pineapple.
Yeehaw!
Hey, good to be here. Thanks for the invitation. In theory, we talked about I shouldn't be here, right? Because I'm.
You said you'll come on after Hopkins. You said.
Oh, in theory, I shouldn't.
Oh, after Hoppy, he said.
Yeah, and Hoppy said he's never coming on. So
yeah, so that would be perfect. No, that's another one. He's up there with Clee House and Pritchard, maybe.
Like
all right, hold on. Let's do the pledge first.
It's like a unicorn. It's like a mysterious. You'll never see those. All right, let me find it. Here we go. Let's get patriotic.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You think they're staying out in Greenland yet? Too soon?
That's pretty good, cool.
Anyway, I couldn't wait to get Chief John up tonight for multiple reasons. Number one, I got the pleasure of working with him and driving him. Number two, he was assigned to Engine 210, near and dear to my heart. And number three, he worked a decent amount of time with the Rug, Richie the Rug Kubler. It's a trifecta. I love it. That's why I had to come in. I had to end dry January. I said to my wife, I got to have a drink, sit down and shoot a fat with Chief Jardin because too many things going on here.
I worked with 3 Kublers, and it's amazing how different.
We're all
they
different.
Could be further apart, right?
Who's the craziest guy? Who's the most insane?
Hey, you know who that is.
I don't know how to measure that.
Well, there's a guy who walked around with a squirrel on his head who thought nobody knew what it was. There's a guy who never smiles ever. And then there's me. I mean.
Yeah, you're all very special.
Well, special, right?
Very special.
All right, let's go. We're going to go back here. And we're going to go back before you're appointed because that's 85. Talk a little bit about where you grew up. What made you want to be a fireman? What family was like? Was dad a fireman? Any of that stuff? Talk us through.
Yeah, so I grew up literally in East Cupcake, as we were told when we came to work in the city. All the guys grew up on Long Island, a little town called Hauppauge.
Hauppauge.
A guest not too long ago, Van Johnson, right? Another Hauppauge guy.
Oh.
And so, I started out there. My father, who eventually became a New York City fireman, comes home from the service in about 1959. His mom, who raised him and his younger sister as a single mom, had gotten married, remarried, and bought a house in a location turned out to be 2 houses from the house he built. And he because his stepfather was a volunteer firefighter in Hauppauge, he comes back from the service.
Wow.
Is working as an oil burner repair guy, installed hot water oil burner systems and for a couple different companies, and he gets bit by the bug in the volunteer fire service. And my mom,
That's crazy.
her name was Geraldine P. Clancy. The P allegedly stands for the fact that she was born in Penn Station. The P is for Penn Station.
Really?
Yeah. So the story goes. And so I'm born in 61. 3 years later, I have Sister Margaret comes along. And then 10 years after that, my sister Kelly. And, it was just a typical suburban upbringing, playing sports, really close to the house. When it was time for dinner, literally the dinner bell would ring and we'd come running in.
We got
older. What's that?
You had the dinner bell?
There was the dinner bell, right?
I had this
next to the door.
Louis knows this one. This is when Engine 17 got disbanded. This was on the front of 17's rig. My father was in 17. This was now on the back door of my house. And anytime my mother wanted for dinner, she rang that bad boy. Right, Ruff?
Well, it wasn't that kind of a bell. It wasn't that big
I was
a bell.
eating that half the time, so.
It was a handheld dinner bell. And as we got older, my friends, we could, travel a little further away from the house, but be back by dark, right? They didn't worry. You'd disappear for a whole day on end, but it was a good place to grow up.
That's so true.
Went to Hauppauge High School and the volunteer fire service then. I don't know if it's the same now, but, my father, like I said, was in the volunteer fire department. That certainly whet my appetite. And you could join then when you were 16 years old. And you were a full member.
You go to fires and everything? You had to be a junior?
Yeah, you were the crew during the day, right? And literally when the siren would go off at the firehouse, the property backed up to the Hauppauge High School property.
Oh, my God.
You'd leave school, run across the field.
Oh, my God.
And up over the fence. And the one guy that was employed by the department then, he would be the driver. And
I was going to say, he drove, right?
16, 17-year-olds we went to fires, right?
What a difference, right? What a time, what a difference back then.
Yeah, it was crazy,
That was the time when they could throw you in the back of a station wagon, no seatbelt, your father half in a bag, coming home from a firehouse function. Right?
And it was a different fire service back then too, right? You were riding the back step.
Yeah.
There were no belts. Everything was outside and riding a brush truck, which was crazy. You'd ride on the back, crashing through trees and knocking fire down and loving it. Right. It was a great start. Met my fellow who'd become my best man when I got married back in '85. Bob Tabbitt. We would, it was funny. We had a class when we were seniors. It was in the very back of the school. So if the siren went off, we didn't have to run out at the door and we could just open the emergency escape window, right, and jump out. Entire class, so we're told, would be gathered around betting on who would get to the fence.
Nice.
Oh, man, that must have been a chick magnet too. Like, look at this guy flying out the window.
I think we
going
were
to fires.
The dweebs or whatever, right? We didn't fit into the whoever, right? The nerds or whatever. Maybe we were nerds. I don't know, but it was a good start, And so my father eventually, gets on the fire department. Still very active in the fire service. There was down in Maryland, an institution called the Maryland Fire and Rescue Institute, was the state training agency, and they not only delivered curriculum to firefighters in the state, but they also did a lot of outreach, right? And they had short courses, I think they were called. And so a weekend they'd have New Jersey weekend, New York weekend, Pennsylvania weekend. They would have weekend classes on engine company ops, ladder company operations, and so on. And so my father would, take part in those, and in doing so became aware of a program down there at the University of Maryland in College Park, where the Maryland Fire Rescue Institute was located, fire protection engineering program, right? And so that alone was interesting. But then, he found out that the College Park Volunteer Fire Department, which was situated on campus in a state building on campus, they would hold up to 12 students who were enrolled in the fire protection engineering program. So I leave, leave Huppa, go to school down in Maryland, join the fire. I got to live in a firehouse.
That's
right?
cool.
You had to, in return, get qualified to respond and go to fires, right? Go to alarms while attending the university, and it was it was a great.
I didn't know any of that.
Yeah, so he gets me down there, right? But he was he's sort of my first, and not lifelong, but till his life ended, right? He was a mentor, a guy I could go to, full of wisdom, very intelligent. Like I said, he got on the job, I think, in about 67, 68. He passed away in 2005, so I can't fact check with him, but he got on. He was 34 years old. He kind of came to the game later in life.
Game, huh? Where did he work, Chief?
So he gets assigned to Engine 225 out of school, and they were
by themselves, I think.
107 at that point,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
So he starts out there, and then early on they move into the new firehouse with 107, and he pretty quickly goes across the floor to ladder 107, and he does a good part of his career there. And
that's in the late 60s, early 70s. That had to be madhouse over there.
Yeah, I think they were doing some work. It was great. I would go in and ride with them occasionally. But it's funny. I was just fast forward a little bit to the 225 107 back in the day. I'm on duty probably 2 years ago I can't remember if it was the 13th or 14th division, and I get a call, and it was somebody asking for me, Chief Jardin. The aides were kind of confused because when you work in a division, especially as a covering chief, you don't get any calls. Right. It's the aides that are doing the hiring or whatever. So this fella asked for me, and he gets on the phone. He goes, "Oh, Chief, I saw you were on the news last night, and I had a job the night before, and there were a number of, not fatality, 1045 code 2s, right? A number of injuries. And, so I gave a little soundbite to the news, and this fella saw it. He says, "Oh, I wanted to call you, track you down. My name is Robert Greenstein." I'm pretty sure that's his name. And he said, "I grew up across from the firehouse, with 225 and 107. He was about my age." And he talked about how my father and all his, guys he worked with took really good care of him. Not that he lived in the firehouse, but they kind of took him under their wings and, obviously played a meaningful part in his life.
Right.
And he went on to tell me about not only the careers and the names of all these people that he worked with then, and I recognized a lot of them.
Right.
But then their kids and where their kids went in their careers, right? So he's been tracking everybody for the last,
They must have made some impact on him then, man.
And I mean, some of the names I remember from back then, Fortmeyer, right? Jimmy Fortmeyer was a big, tall fella. Turns out his son is on the job, and he drove Brendan McSweeney, I think, when Brendan was chief of training. And I got to work with him on occasion. John Holfester, whose son is, I think, still a chief in the 2-8, right? Just met a guy recently. Rescue 2 does, like a lot of firehouses, right? Their monthly, retired old men breakfasts. And there's a guy, John Dooley, who comes monthly. He's 99 years old.
Whoa.
He's a member of Rescue 2, obviously back in the early 60s, early, I think, to mid 60s, gets promoted and he gets a spot in Ladder 107. And it turns out that, he was one of my father's officers in 107. And coincidentally, I went to Proby school with his son.
Oh my God!
John,
Like a circle.
is retired a few years. Jimmy Fennell. I don't know if you know that name.
I know that name. Yeah,
Rescue 4. His father.
We had him on the
was
show.
136, right?
Right, 136 Rescue 4. Right.
Yeah.
So his dad was there, and so good memories of way back then. He, crazy story, and maybe some of the historians will know some of the details, but it's symbolic of what I know of the promotional process, in my time on the job, that it's screwed up, right? And every test, there's something crazy that happens. Well, he, like I said, got on the job late in life. He was motivated to do well as a junior guy taking the test. He knew he had to score well. Back then it was Delahanty's, right? Not fire tech. And he was into the books despite the fact that he worked, a second and third job. And he goes and takes the test. He does fairly well, but because he had very little seniority, right? And for those who are tuned in, right? Generally our promotional exams are 50% how you do on the written test, 50% seniority, right? And so he did well, but he was in a moderate spot on the list because he had very little seniority. Well, what had happened supposedly, and this is my memory now, and he's not here to fact check, but they ran out of test booklets at a school up in the Bronx. This was, I guess early 70s, right? And so how do they fix that? Well, in their wisdom, they decided, if we're going to have to give some people a test, we'll reopen filing, right? Well, who didn't take the test when they gave it on the original date?
Right? Guys who didn't study.
The guys who didn't study.
But now have all the answers.
They reopen the filing. They take the test. No, what happens is maybe some of them had it, but the scores were very low, right? They were, which stands to reason. So what do? And they're infinite. They score them on a curve.
Oh my God.
So all of a sudden he went from a makeable, reachable spot on the list to he gets left on the list, but he does study and gets promoted, goes to the 7th Battalion, and eventually gets a spot in 23 Engine. And then in 1984, when they start hazmat, he's one of the charter lieutenants.
Oh, that's right. You know what? That's so funny. I remember his name on the board.
It's on that board, right? So I think I have a picture of him and my mom and me at, I don't know if you want to bring it up at.
Man. Let me take a look at that. I forgot.
Chief, I do remember. I remember his name on there.
So, a lot of the names that have come up, in the past, right? Like Bobby Ingram and McCardle and who, John Norman, I think was.
Norman is on that list. Yes, he's on.
Eisenheimer, who I knew,
Hopkins.
Right. Well, so we'll talk about, Little Hoppy, right? John's dad was my father's chauffeur, and that's how we get paired up.
Right, but his dad was in hazmat too. Where the heck is the picture of your mom and dad? I can't find it yet.
It should be the first one. Like I don't know how they got
graduation, right? Not Proby graduation.
Yeah, Proby graduation, right?
Oh, there you go.
So that's him and my mom. Yeah. So
who the hell's that guy on the right? Holy mackerel!
What's that?
Who's that
guy on the right?
Yeah.
Looked like a stiff wind might blow him over. I don't know.
Where the heck did he go, right? But a really, 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 super guy, great mentor. I think that if he, if the outcome's a little different on the first lieutenant's exam, he may retire as a deputy or a staff chief, right? He's just a really good thinker. But he gets to a little over 20, and Suffolk County, New York, was looking for a fire commissioner, and he gets hired to become their fire commissioner, right? But
so he did most of his life in the fire service at some point.
So yeah, he did. So really good dude, right? But he's the one that gets me to to the College Park Fire Department to get enrolled in fire protection program, where I would then cross paths with someone else who really played a meaningful part of my life before I get on the fire department, and was very supportive of it. Dr. John L. Bryan, he was the chair, a professor in the chair of the Fire Protection Engineering Department. Just an unbelievable individual, credible intellect, wisdom, days on end. You would meet him one time and tell him your story, and see him a year later, and he'd remember you, the other people in your family, in your universe. Really good fella. But he ends up, after I graduate, and get a degree in fire protection engineering, never thinking I was going to become a fireman. He actually supported me making a move from the world of engineering to the fire department. But College Park Fire Department, right? I'm supporting the Company 12, right? Part of the Prince George's County Fire Department, right? A combination paid and volunteer department. What a great time to be a volunteer. 79 I was there till about 84, and lived in the firehouse. There were 12 of us. 6 of us moved in at the same time, which was an incredibly high turnover. Lifelong friends out of that group. Myself, we'll talk about my buddy Dan Troxel, when pull up a picture in a second. Dan just retired after a little more than 40 years as a captain in the Washington, D.C. Fire Department. Incredible individual. Timmy DeRusher went on to do good things in the world of fire protection engineering. Carl Giannino, a Syosset guy, down there, and comes back and goes to work on Long Island as a fire protection engineer. Luke Klepich, and a fella, Chris Kelly, who went on to become a fire chief up in suburban Boston area. Already there when we moved in were great guys who showed us the way. Fella Dan Arnold, who I ended up being in his wedding. He was in my wedding. He's a well-respected fire protection engineer, lives down in the Atlanta area, been in the trade for 45 years. Don Bathurst, incredible career with the federal government doing fire protection engineering. A fellow named Peter Miller, who started his own residential sprinkler installation business and had done real well. College Park was an incredible place, right? And over time, other fellows moved in. A fellow named Johnny Devlin, who incredible character, right? And what I was going to start with, right? Like Danny Murphy, I asked him, was he ever on the show? You confirmed he wasn't. He said it's going to be tough to get him on, because he says, out of the things he remembers, they're probably, all the things over his life, 30% of the things he can't remember, 30% of the things people wouldn't believe, and 30% of the things that he can't talk about. So I'm the 90% of the things. Among the few percent that I won't talk about.
It'll be a very short show then.
Chief, before you, how much work were you doing in those years there? Like, were you guys going to a lot of work?
It was a busy place, right? We were doing 1,500 runs a year. That's the sack room crew. Probably in 1981, another crazy group of guys. Good.
Where
guys.
are you in here? I can't find. Where are you?
I'm
you guys look like David Terrio in there.
Which one?
Well, there's a guy kneeling, Bob Wheeler.
Yeah.
He's a fire protection engineer. I'm right next to him, right? With the
gray sweater?
I would call it a beige sweater.
Tan.
Oh, so you're on his
next
right.
To the 12.
His right,
next to the 12.
Right. Yeah. All right.
And so a couple to the right. Well, John Devlin is a guy standing next to the guy kneeling. Jay Iacone next to him with the blazer. He was a Fairfax firefighter. Eric Schmidt, a PG County firefighter. Up above him, Tim DeRusher, black fellow Willie Folks, PG County career fire officer. My buddy Dan Troxel, standing up in the middle, and Jimmy Stolberg, who's affectionately known as the Slug. But most important, this
there's a lot of huckapoo collars in that shirt.
Think about it, right?
They went out to the disco right after this, bro. They'll do a little Staying Alive right after that.
It was the time and place, but the most well-known aspect of this picture is the ladder truck. Go back to that ladder truck. It's truck 12, right? It's got a special place in many of our hearts, right?
The LTI.
It was Peter Persh, 1970. thing flew, right? It was nicknamed the mongoose because it flew, and it, just everybody loved it. It was lightweight, 100-foot aluminum aerial, screw jacks in the back. You could deploy, get the ladder up in no time, and so who owns it now? When I show up for the first day, I'm going to move in the firehouse. The paid men were working, right? And there was, 3 or 4 of them. The Lieutenant Croniger, Ralph Stewart was the driver, and a fellow named Ron Sarnicki. Ron Sarnicki would go on to become the chief of PG County, would retire and go on to become the CEO of the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation. Well, Ron Sarnicki now owns Truck 12, right? And
that's cool.
It's beloved by most of the members who had the opportunity to Truck 12 and respond to fires. Like you said, it was an incredible place. We did like 1,500 runs a year. We did a fair amount of fire duty. We were known as the slide rule firefighters, right? Because we were, all going to school on campus. PG County in general was a very busy place, right? You went down to the south side and they were doing tons of fire duty. You've heard Kentland referred to often, right? And that's down south, and they still do an incredible amount of fire duty, right? When I was in Rescue 2, Pete Lunn used to go down and ride with Kentland.
A lot of guys did.
His son Matt, right, was a member there, and they'd go do that. But it was an incredible place to be. It was truly professional, right? Unlike my experience maybe in hometown, this place took professionalism to another notch. To get promoted, they actually had a promotional process where you'd take a test and sit through an assessment center. And get put on a list, right? Which is not the norm in the volunteer fire service. Fast forward to about, 4 years ago, I participated in one. They put out a call to see if any former members would like to come down and be on the assessment panel. Nice. And I said, I'll come down. And I did. And who was seated next to me but Danny Troxel, who at that point was about 40 years in the fire service. And the other side was Mike Wilbur. Right. Mike retired as a lieutenant at a ladder 27, instrumental in a lot of the apparatus innovations in New York City and beyond. Right. Well known in that world. He was instrumental in getting the seatbelts we know today in the rigs, right, that are much easier to utilize than the predecessors. But really a great place. A lot of good senior men who ran the place. Very active place.
There you go. There you go.
So this fire, right? This is one I still kind of haunts me today, right? So the story here is that we're this is like at 2 or 3 in the morning. We're in the bunk room and we get an alarm to relocate the ladder truck, and so I'm the officer. I don't know if I was lieutenant or captain at the time. I'm the officer. We start out for the firehouse, so we're getting, they called it a transfer there. But on the way, we get assigned to, a report of a fire in a garden-style apartment, which was a stock and trade, right? Garden-style garden apartments were burning back then big time in Prince George's County. So we pull up, and this is not what we saw when we pull up. When we pull up, this has got like you walk in a door just to the left of that window that was still intact, some smoke condition, and the engine that had beat us in, they were just rolling out of the door right into the public hall because fire burst through the door to the public hallway from the apartment and burnt them and their hose up, right?
Wow.
And we're told that there's a woman in the apartment, right? So we actually make entry into that window, right? So you go in that window and you drop down, right? Because it's a few steps below grade. And right, the only reason we could do that was because the door to the bedroom was shut and the main body of fire at that point hadn't entered that bedroom. But we thankfully there was a bureau we were able to, drop down on, make a quick search. As we're forced to complete our search, fire is coming in now through that Lawan door, right? And we just get out and now, the fire shows like you see here. And like I say, it haunts me today. And when I think about back then, how much responsibility as, a 19-year-old or 20-year-old that we had. What did I know, right? To put, not only myself, but my crew, right, in the path of potential danger like this. But we survived it, and we could tell the story, right? And you think about how much we learned, all of us, right, who spent some time, in the fire service, in our case with FDNY, and the experience that we got. I kind of wonder, would I do the same thing today that I did then, if I had a little bit of wisdom and sense, right? Mm-hmm. Just stupidity and motivation, right? But
chasing fire.
Chasing fire.
Chasing fire.
But, still to this day, right, it attracts some of the best and brightest. I said Mike Wilbur, his son Nick went there. His son Nick's now a firefighter in Alexandria, I think. Billy Ryan's son Matt attends the University of Maryland, lives in the firehouse.
Oh, that's cool.
This just shows you we have a robust alumni group, right? I can't read it, but myself in that picture is Tommy Slade on the left, big guy. He was up in 92 and 44, got promoted, was lieutenant in, I think, ladder 13 maybe, and then he's a captain now. Sean White, I don't know if you guys recognize him on the right. He's up in Rescue 3. He was 37 truck, I think, then went to Rescue 1, and now has been a Rescue 3 for a number of years, probably one of the senior guys. And the fella next to me is Jeff Provincial, who didn't make his way in the fire service, but well, I should say to the paid fire service. He's a volunteer in Northern Virginia, but there was we contribute to the cause. We continue to support.
So guys are still doing that exactly as you did it. Guys are still doing exactly as you went through that.
Yeah, not as many engineers live in back then. The requirement was you had to be enrolled in the engineering program. Not so. I don't know if I could get into that program today. So not as easy to attract.
I understand.
Engineering students, but they have now. They have we didn't have an ambulance, thank God. That's one constant throughout my career, right? Like whether I was
skip through the tulips,
no ambulance to get on, right? But just a quick kind of like leadership nugget. How are we doing on time? I want to get through here, but
no, you're good.
So my good friend Dan Troxel.
Don't rush.
Dan Troxel, right, gave me one of my first leadership lessons, right? Probably case study. So when all the students went home for Christmas break, for Thanksgiving break, for summer break, right? The paid men worked during the day. They were like 8 to 5 or 8 to 4, whatever. And then it was the volunteers, right? In the other hours. So they would hire work shifts to stay. And when the paid men went off duty, the work shift crew would come on. So we were doing the summer work shift, and I was an officer. He was an officer. We were on the same work shift. You came on at Sunday night at whatever time, and you get relieved by the other work shift guys the next Sunday night. Well, we were supposed to go on duty probably at midnight, right? And well, a bunch of guys decided to go out and have a good time, right? Party.
Giddy up.
And Danny was among them, and like Danny, we got work shift tonight, right? Well, Danny and I talked to Dan about this, right? And he doesn't hold it, but he comes back boxed, bro. Like he was supposed to drive, like hey Danny, like you can't drive tonight, bro. Or you can't ride, like So of course, that gets out to beyond our four walls, and he took a little bit of a time off for that, but. What do you do, right? Here's your good friend, and do I just, and you think about today? Should I just? I don't know what I should have done, but that's what right? Like I thought it was
the right thing. You don't want him to get hurt or him to hurt anybody else.
He, like I said, he doesn't hold it against me, and we learned something from it. But then I somehow graduate, got my engineering degree. I think I'm going to be an engineer. Thank God that same Dan Troxel convinces me to take the fire department test. Right? I think it was the 82 tests, right? Mm-hmm. And I said, Dan, why are we going to take the test? We're going to be engineers. Why are we going to, no, let's go do it. So we come up, and we also had come up a couple times and ridden with Rescue 3 and, Rescue 1 and what. So we, had a flavor for New York City. And thankfully he did, right? I kiss his feet every time I see him, because I graduate. Now I got to go to work, right, and wait to see if FDNY hires me. I'm driving double-decker buses down in D.C., And I finally get a job working for a big nuclear, architectural engineering firm. Realized that going to work 5 days a week wasn't
Sucks.
for me. Yeah, exactly. Right. So thankfully the fire department calls and what is it? December.
Can you repeat that job that you had again?
Which
Nucleus. Something. What?
Yeah, so I was supposed to get hired by the National Security Agency, but it took a year and a half to do a background check, and I needed to, bring in some money. So, and it was the original British double-decker buses, right, where you sit on the right side.
No, not that job. What was the other job you had?
It was called Bechtel Power Corp. They were a big nuclear architectural engineer. They built nuclear power plants.
And what was your position?
I was a fire protection engineer. Basically checking plans and
that doesn't sound as good as you just said before that.
Oh, I don't know what I said.
Something technical, really. I got it. I was like, holy shit, this guy's really smart. I don't know what.
You were like nuclear, like you had the code,
Nuclear physicist? What?
Basically, going to work every day, with your lunch pail and
see that
setting and reading plans, which wasn't that exciting. But
so you get called in December 9th of 85.
Yeah. And talk about, Hoppy, right? Little Hoppy, who was my father's chauffeur. He, they obviously knew both their kids were. So they arranged the carpool. It was Hoppy, myself, fella Mike Fagan, who retired at I think 59 truck as lieutenant, and a fellow named John Duncan from the same area. And we were the carpool, but we just celebrated our 40th anniversary. We had a get together, a reunion. We had about 45 of the 150 guys show up, which was good. There's still seven fellas working.
I was going to ask you, anybody?
Joe Light among them.
Joe Light.
Joe Light was in
what
that.
What the hell's he waiting to retire for, man?
I think soon. I don't know if he's still full duty, but he's
that guy.
The guy Kevin White up in ladder 56, lieutenant, still working. That's pretty impressive. The rest are chiefs. A couple that are going to go. A couple were pretty young, 61 still, and have a couple more years to do. But
wow.
Quite. It was who else was in that class, right? Danny Donahue would go on and become a DAC.
I worked with him in 117. Yeah.
117, right? Yeah, 117 guy. And Paul Cressy, who retired as a chief of safety. He was like my father. He was 34 when he got hired, and thus retired sooner than one would have thought. Dave Rayner, right?
No shit.
Dave Rayner, who was my aide in the rescue battalion. You know him from.
He's retired now, though, right?
He's a Warwick guy.
Dave was on the higher end of the age spectrum. Fella I would later cross paths with in Jackson Heights, Chris Huss. You remember Chris, right?
Yeah.
Really good dude.
He had a brother on the job too, right?
No, I don't think so.
Chris Huss didn't have.
Not that I recall. He could have.
Yeah, did he do construction or something like that? Him and his brother.
He was he might have. He was a contractor.
Yeah, he was a contractor. Yeah, he was.
His brother was on.
Yeah, he was in construction. He was in 307 engine, right? Yeah.
Chris was 307.
Yeah.
Brian Smith, Brian, right? Retired as a captain of Squad 18.
Yeah.
And Steve Berube, who I didn't realize, right? Sadly,
passed
away, right?
Passed away. Yeah.
A year or so ago.
111.
Captain of 111, really good dude. I had known Steve, whatever, and you don't realize you were in the same class, right? But yeah, good, very good experience. What I remember is a couple days before to graduate, we're all inside the, inside the building, right outside or in the cafeteria, maybe line the walls and had the TVs on the wall. And what did we witness? But the Space Shuttle Challenger.
Oh my God!
That happened, I think, on the 28th of January, and we just happened to be there, sitting down. A couple of the squads when we weren't out marching. We were in the bad platoon, right? And Wrong Way Tommy May was probably responsible. He would take us to the wrong. But yeah, good experience. I got married while I was in Proby school. That was interesting. So the honeymoon consisted of.
Had to postpone.
Well, it was one night, at the Marriott in Uniondale and a Broadway play, and then back to Proby school. But yeah,
I'm sure you made it unforgettable, though, Chief.
But well, yeah, hey,
You
you're opening the envelopes, right? When you get to the I do tend to remember that.
Cash.
So yeah, we graduate early February, and you know how you get your assignments. They read it off, and they tell me I'm going to Engine 210. Like, well, is that the 15th Division? I thought my father was going to, help me get a spot.
I was going to say, I thought your old man hooked you up. What?
So 210, where's 210? Well, John Hopkins knew where 210 was, right? His father had been in Rescue 2 before.
Oh, right. They were, yep.
Right. There was Little Hoppy and Big Hoppy, and his father was Little Hoppy. So he goes, oh, yeah, I know where it is. Rescue 2's in quarters with 210. I said, oh, that's cool. That's, I don't know much about it, but we'll find out in school. Well, I get there. Rescue had moved out several months before, right? They were that summer they had moved out. So that part of the equation wasn't part of it. But you know what? It was a good experience. I don't know what you think about 210, but we didn't do a ton of work. We companies around us were going.
That was so funny. Yeah. 209, 102, 102 right down the block, 235 over here. It's just, I mean, they caught their work here and there, some brownstone.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did we had the projects.
Right.
When you made the left out of quarters and crossed Myrtle, right, those projects right there. When I got there was still a bunch of frames across the street from them on Carlton, right, between Myrtle and Park, but they were vacant and burning down. So that was a little bit of work for us,
One good job in the Navy Yard a year. You're always good for one.
Oh yeah, that's right.
One barn burner
alarm or whatever. That's right.
1/5 alarm. Yeah.
A lot of guys from 210 went to 103, right? They used to go to Sheffield Avenue, right? Larry O'Donnell and Gersbeck and Schwicke.
So 210, if you wanted to, go to work, you wouldn't stay in 210, right? So therefore, it was a clearinghouse for a lot of guys. Here's, I don't have any fire pictures, but here's us playing basketball.
Shit!
Rodney Sherrod.
Rodney Sherrod, I work with him. Yeah,
he was still there. He got promoted to lieutenant eventually, right? That's Jimmy Gersbeck next to him.
Oh my God, you got to send me that.
Is
picture.
that Yodice?
Paul Yodis in the yellow, all the way to the right. He was still there, were you?
Yeah, and then what's his name here on the bottom next to Yodice has his arm. It's
John Del Grasso.
John Del Grasso, who wound up
promoted to lieutenant, right?
Snyder Island, right? Yeah.
Greg Lemko in the middle. Do you remember Greg? He might have been out of there when you got there.
No, I don't remember him.
Big basketball coach. Grew up in Greenpoint.
Is that Billy Smith? Is Billy Smith in the middle? Is that Billy?
That's Billy Smith standing up in the middle. Yeah,
big dude. Yeah,
Billy, good guy, great guy, right, Billy? And next to him is Ricky Knowles, who was one of the senior guys when I was there, but got promoted pretty quick. I walk in the door, meet right away Lieutenant Jazinski, who would go on to become a battalion chief in the 3-7. Captain Stanfell, who would retire as a chief out of the 4-6 or the 5-2, I believe. But another little leadership thing that struck me back then. We had a Lieutenant Pete Scamone from Astoria, little old Italian fella. Didn't want to go to fires a whole lot. Wasn't really into doing that, but really cared for us. Right. Here's my first exposure to career fire department and all the things that go on, all the administrative niceties and requirements, and he really cared about making sure everything was taken care of and followed up on, and you got all the leaves you were entitled, and the mutuals were done right. And even though he wasn't that into going out the door, he'd seen his time. He was probably in his mid-50s at the time. He just cared about everybody, right? And it really struck me as what a special guy. Jimmy Hayhurst was a senior guy when I was there. I don't know if you know Jimmy.
Yeah, I know him.
He's the president of the retired firefighters group now.
He's lieutenant in 259 too, I think.
That's right. He gets promoted. You talked about we had Stevie DeSario when I was still there. Did you know Stevie?
No.
He's a guy.
Oh, yeah.
And I believe it, one of the best nozzle men on the job, right? He'd drag you through.
Wasn't he a short, stout guy, like a short?
Yeah, short. Yeah. And just like a bull, with a nozzle.
How about Nino? Was Nino there?
Nino was there, right? That's where I learned to cook Italian food.
What
right?
A great cook, man.
slice the garlic with the razor, right? And the whole Mike Marks, I don't know if he was still there. He falls into that percentage of stories you really can't tell, right? He's got a few of those. But funny guy. Lincoln Quape, who
he went to Rescue 2, right? Yeah. Rescue 1 or Rescue 2?
No, 2.
Oh, Rescue 2. Yeah. Right. Funny. I see him. I get to Rescue 2 a little before him. He's in 123, right? So a bunch of guys went to St. John's East. The other guys went to Sheffield Avenue, right?
Yeah.
These guys. So he sees me in the courtyard of the projects, and he comes over to me kind of like, hey, Joe, congratulations. But I can't let anybody see you talking to me, and I'm not going to talk to you.
Well, those guys were so close to each other, right? You were constantly, all
the time.
So close at the time, right?
So Duke Snyder was a guy I remember went to 123. Bobby Roth goes to 234. Mike Pfister, 234. I don't know if you remember Mike. Was he still? I don't know if he was there when you were there. How about the old Buffalo? Was he Tony Paisano?
No.
He might have. He was a character. Tony was a character. I think Van Johnson told you a story. You'd be in a fire, whether hell was breaking loose or was a food on the stove, and he'd be praying to Saint Teresa, and like gonna die. He's praying to Saint Teresa.
Nobody parts of the Spirito Santo.
That place always had the potential to do work. They were by themselves. You turn out right on Myrtle. You could get the places quick. It was a little ghetto firehouse, but you just never saw the work.
I mean, listen, even when you went there when you go to the medical office. Yeah, if you parked over there, it was. I mean, the problem was there was so many nice brownstones, right there, right. I mean,
there was
multi-million-dollar places over there, right?
Yeah, now, but back then they were shitty. They were all fucking. A lot of them were vacant.
But we had, to your point, Lou, Jim Schwicke came class after I did. Jimmy Gersbeck, Larry O'Donnell. They all came.
Larry O, yeah, man.
Class, right? Yeah, what a great guy he was, right? Larry, just the nicest man. Roy Felici, I don't know if Roy was still there when you got there. He goes to 234. I don't know if he retired out of there, but a lot of great guys, just not a lot of work, right? One job I remember there was we go out during the day, a fire in the Williamsburg Bank high-rise building, right over on like off of Flatbush, right? And it's a job, right? And we're up with our roll-up standpipe building, and we're standing around. We're third due, I think. And all of a sudden, a guy with a yellow front piece comes, "Hey, 210, you got a line?" "Yeah, we got a line. Come on." And we hook up the line. Turns out there was a fire in a vault, right? And we put it out. Got me a couple weeks. What's that?
Was there cash in it?
No, it was all files and milk crates, right? So,
how do you think you got that house in Florida, Roof? You kidding me?
so we still had our 3/4 boots, right? The pull-up boots, and I ended up with the nozzle pretty quick somehow, right? I was started as backup, but the probie that had the nozzle, he didn't want it too long. But turns out, it was all molten plastic, like milk crates. And I kneeled in, got a knee burn, not the end of the world, but 2 or 3 week medical leave. And my wife would call that, our pantry medical leave, because I had the time to,
work on the house.
I'll fit the pantry, right? But that was a good job, right? I'm trying to think. Oh, another great experience. We did our 60-day details in Ladder 110. I don't know if you.
Yeah.
Was your
we went to who was over with 211?
119.
119. We would go to 119.
Yeah, that wasn't in our battalion then, right? We in the 3-1. But fellow Dan Tracy was the captain, legendary guy, from Brownsville. Allegedly, there were, billboards, put up by the people who lived in, just celebrating his heroics and just great guy to work with, and again, we did some work then. That was a whole different area back then, right? In 86, 87, doesn't look like that downtown Brooklyn area today, but then we had one job, really sad job during again, a day tour. We were second due, 105 first due. I think it was in called the Brooklyn Arms Hotel, right? And it was a hotel for, low income families. They were, social assistance. And really sad story. The parents leave 3 or 4 kids alone to go return empties, right? And kids played with matches or whatever, and turns out 4 fatalities, and thank God we were second due, right? So 105 was first due with that fire, but still, what a slap in the face,
Yeah.
Not much for us to do. It was a quick fire, right? But
105 used to do a lot of work back then, right, Chief? I mean,
105 that neighborhood was, like I said, a lot different. On both sides of Atlantic Avenue, they were doing
when
work.
I think of when I look at pictures in the 80s, like you say 80s, 90s, especially, like you see 108, 105, like those companies, 105 was always had
that's why I can't figure out. They were on.
And all the Chief's sons used to go there, right? I mean,
they were on. They were on Carlton, and Dean, right? Carlton and Dean.
Yeah, exactly.
Right straight down, you hit 210.
I know. Yeah.
West Point.
Like we were world apart, even though it was only about a mile and a half. And like I said, it was a much different neighborhood. Yeah, than it certainly.
Yeah, John Del Grasso lived in Fort Greene. I'm like, what the?
He grew up. Well, yeah, he's what a tough guy, right? He was on Hall Street.
Yes.
Between Myrtle and Park. I think he was stabbed once or twice, and his brother was shot. Right? He had a brother on a job, and they both survived their time in.
And they didn't move. He lived there the whole time.
But yeah, so no, 210 was great. But after I'm there a year, I know I want to go to a busy place. I think at Van Johnson's suggestion, I start to try to get to ladder 124. He really talked highly of it. He left 210, went to 124. Went and visited the captain. Don't remember his name. Black captain, not nice guy, but not happening, right? Like CD30 is in for the first year, nothing's happening. So second year, I put in a few other Brooklyn trucks. Ain't nothing happening. Well, it just so happens I know a fella, John Fatta, who was a Hauppauge volunteer fireman, who was a lieutenant in ladder 154, and he knew I was trying to make a move to a truck. And he said, Joe, I know it's not a Brooklyn truck, but 154, we do a lot of running around, but we're doing some work.
Catching work, man.
Fucking great spot.
So I put that on a subsequent CD30, right? The transfer paper, and sure enough, I get, I go there, right? And what as you guys can identify, what a world of difference between being in downtown Brooklyn from a response perspective, right? Great experience, good bosses. Talk about some of the guys I work with, but just the responses,
Oh my God.
In 210, if you blink, you're beat in, right? With all the engine, especially with 209, right? 207, 235 is close, like you said, 219. So you had to be on your game. Here you would go on, Louis, in 117.
Oh my God.
You drive it forever.
You could go 40 blocks. 40 blocks first due. Like, I know 117, we would go under the Triborough, and then we would go to 94th Street. 95th Street, you guys were first, like 154 was first due. Obviously the avenues as you moved up, it
but
changed.
That's a long way from 117, man.
We used to go.
Drive.
But I remember 154, so I got 117 and 93, and I remember 154, like they had all the H's there. Like you guys had like you had all 6 stories there, right? We would come there, like it was always U138, and then we would come as like the extra truck or second alarm or whatever. But we didn't have we had some H's, but we had mostly like 3 stories jobs by us. But anytime there was a big job over there, it was you guys, and it was right around the firehouse almost all the time. A couple avenues like within of the firehouse, 80th Street or whatever you guys are on over there.
They were catching good work, and they're heavily occupied over there, man.
Heavily.
A lot of people living in on there, man.
But you ran your ass off.
We did. We were doing, I think, 6,000.
5,000-6,000.
Not as many as 117, right?
Pull boxes too.
You had pull boxes. Right? Anytime there was
Buckeye.
No, I'm talking about 117.
Oh,
right?
no, yeah.
The captain there, right? Made sure.
Oh yeah, flood. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They got only had him for 6 months.
This guy.
But
he was holding his coat outside.
If you know, you know. If you know, you know.
No, yeah.
So who's some of the characters you worked with there? Should we start there?
So in the Happy Al Johansson, remember Al?
Oh yeah.
He was, one of the senior guys. Virgil Sanchez, great guy. He was one of the chauffeurs most of my time there. Another senior guy, Eric Wong. Remember Eric?
My brother used to break his balls all the time, man. Eric Wong. Oh my God.
Oh, and we had, I don't know if you remember, in the engine, we had Ray Wing. Ray Wing was like
Wing and Wong.
We had Wing and Wong, right? Like in who was who, Wing and Wong.
But Eric Wong, he owned a lot of properties and shit.
Oh, that's right. He was a bitch. I was shit to him all the time.
He owned a lot of property, and he sold a lot of little umbrellas to put in your cocktail drink.
That's right. That's right. He used to get shit from overseas. I remember talking to him about that. Yes, you're right.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah. So they were there when I got there.
Entrepreneur, that guy, man.
Dennis Carey, you remember Dennis?
Oh, my favorite.
He's a great guy, right? Dennis Carey, super guy, goes to hazmat. Sadly killed on 9/11. Jimmy Amon, you had on the show already, right?
Yeah.
Thumbs, as he was nicknamed, right? Talked about that.
Yeah, I had no thumb.
Mike Holderman, you remember Mike Holderman? I don't know if you remember Mike.
No.
He retired as a deputy, very studious, but he had pretty big, prescription, I don't know what kind of, how you describe it. He had some thick glasses, and it was always an adventure when he was chauffeuring the rig, We sailed across Northern Boulevard a couple times.
With your eyes closed.
How the hell did we do that, right? Dean Steffen, Steve Keating. Eventually we'd get Scotty Maxwell.
Scotty Maxwell.
Scotty Maxwell was a probie not long after I got there. Richie Schmidt, talking about hands. Home runs, right?
Yeah.
Big hands. Bobby Anderson, who I think three still. Jimmy McDermott transfers in. Really great guy, Jimmy. Charlie Weeman. He comes to
he
us.
That's right. He went to Rescue 4. He
ended up being, a clearinghouse for SOC. Like I was the first guy to leave, go to Rescue 2. Then Scotty goes Squad 41, and then Glenn Berube goes there eventually. He was
right. Hey, Mo.
He was in an engine. I think he was in 312. Transfer.
He wasn't. He got lifted to 312, right?
That's right. And he was there. But yeah, no, great place. Charlie Hoffman, the Bushman in 307, the senior guys, right? Of course, your brother had a seat like not long after I got there.
I think he got there and had the seat.
Well, I know. Well, so I do remember, right? We'll talk about, right? Like we talked about the wig or the
rug.
His nickname, the rug, right? And yeah, that didn't go unnoticed, but very proud of his German heritage, right?
Yeah.
And, when he would hold court at the table and, set things straight the way they were. Very proud of being a German, right?
Oh my God!
Tell the story, the follow up, right? About the
So they had didn't they have like they used to have a thing called Nazi night where everybody dressed up in fucking German clothes, right? And so he was, God forbid, years. Louis knows. Like I had a DNA test. My brother had a DNA test. My father was adopted. We didn't find out till after my father died. And the test comes back with like 40-something% Italian. He would have shit himself. I swear, his rug would have flipped off his head.
You had the first heart attack.
When he told me, Coops calls me up. He's like, "Dude, you're not even going to believe this." I'm like,
he had
Italian.
He had a German blanket. He had steins all over the place. He married a German girl.
His Cadillacs were meticulous, right? Didn't he drive?
Oh my God, he was the yellow one,
big yellow Cadillac. Yeah,
he would park it in the division spot over there, right? That was the whole thing.
Like it was.
Well, he would try to, right? That was a sought after spot. But
yeah.
But I remember, speaking of the rug, right? And I wasn't working, but the last time I'm told he took overtime, where he was in the back step. They had a multiple at a grocery store in Corona. They were like on the second alarm, and they were down in the cellar, and the rug went missing, right? Like. And I understand that's the last time he took overtime where he wasn't.
I heard he came up and his helmet was cockeyed and he was fucking.
So who knows what the story is?
He was a great chauffeur. I'll give him that, bro. Drive that rig.
No, a great place. Good bosses, like I said. John Fata would later become captain of hazmat. Of course, Dan Buckite. He was an institution there. Very inspirational guy, MacGyver. Worked with him. He told a story on your show about the US Air 50-50 flight that went off the end of the runway. And yeah, we made a difference, right? We got there pretty quick and made a difference. I can't tell the story, in the detail that he can, but I do remember one funny fire with Dan. We go to Astoria. We're second due, fire on the top floor and in the bulkhead of, I guess, a frame, 5-story frame. And we had a detail from an engine, a guy that, had made known that he wanted to transfer to 154. He was from, one of the single engines in the battalion. And he had the can. I think I was driving that for that fire. And we're on the top floor, right? The truck is 154 second due. They're on the top floor. They're overhauling or whatever. And I remember just getting there. I think I took the aerial up and I'm going to go help. And I hear Buckeye tell this guy, whatever you do, don't lean on the rail because you'll fall. Next thing, boom. Didn't you just tell him not to do that?
Whatever you do,
He broke an arm, the guy, and he consequently never came to.
I was going to say CD30.
Yeah.
He never came to.
That was like the guy with you, Roof. We had that job as an engine, and the guy from 140 fell on top of you from the staircase.
Yeah.
And you busted your ankle. Yeah.
But good stuff. Jimmy Roy, remember Jimmy Roy, little froggy Jimmy Roy? Jimmy Amato was actually there.
That's right, Amato.
Yeah, Blinky, yeah.
Blinky
Funny quick story with Jimmy Roy, right? And talk about John Hodgins, Jack's father, right? The most recent, chief of department, Jack. His father was a assistant chief at one time, and he needed an aide for a short period of time, and he asked me if I'd help him out, and I did. And so, still Livingston Street then, right? The headquarters. And it was check day. So I wanted to go get my check. And I told him, I'm going to go wash the car, pick up my check. Is that okay? And he said, yeah, go for it. So I'm coming up. I get off the highway, right? The Grand Central. I'm coming up 82nd Street. And I make the right on Northern to pull into, front of quarters. And I pull in front of the division bay, right? So Louis just talked about, right? So you had the big apparatus door for the engine in the truck, and off to the side on the two side was a small garage door for that. So I pull in front of that, right? Leave the big, bay door empty, right? Open, wide open. And as I'm making the turn, there's an accident, right? And a woman in a car is, side swiped. I get out of my car that's parked safely on the sidewalk, and I make my way over. It turns out, she's pregnant. She says she's okay, but wants to get checked out. With that, the rig pulls up, and Danny Buckite's the boss. Jimmy Roy is the chauffeur. I probably shouldn't, talk about the guilty, but it was very, very funny. And so he says, okay, and now I have my portable on, but it's on citywide, right? Because we have the command duty, and I have to listen if there's any. Well, he tells Jimmy, just back the rig in, right? And everybody else is tending to the woman in the car, and I'm watching the whole thing. Jimmy pulls out and he starts backing in. I don't know where he was backing in, man. He was going straight for that division door, and he hits square the car. It was an Impala or whatever, pushes it up the apron off the 4 tires, right? So there's 4 flat, besides the body damage. And I'm on there, Jimmy, stop, not realizing I'm yelling at
hear you, right?
I'm yelling at, the citywide dispatcher, right? Whatever. So, like, oh my God, what are we going to do? Well, Dan Buckeye, cool as a cucumber, goes into problem solving mode. He says, all right, he sends somebody up to the auto parts store, go match it with whatever blue paint. He gets the Porta, what was it called? The spreader, right? We had the Porta, I'm blanking, right? Before the Hurstel, whatever that was called, right? We're going to fix the body damage, paint it, get it back on the tires, right? And so it's like, we got like an NASCAR operation, and I got to get on the phone and call the chief now. Like, chief, you're not going to believe this, right? But to show you that doesn't matter what rank you are, you're always a fireman, right? So the chief, it was a little thing in front of quarters. I got hit. He says, "Can it be fixed?" Like, will they know? I said, well, we'll see. I drove it back. Yeah, they would know.
Yeah. Fixing someone with a Hurst tool, it doesn't seem like it's going to work, man.
Water power, that's the name of
Water
it.
power. Yeah.
Frats, I like Frats, Fratangelo. Frats.
Frats, oh, yeah, he was there. He retires out of 205, I think, as a lieutenant.
Yes, you're right, yep.
Good guy. So yeah, I get the itch. I want to go, to a rescue, see some more, expand my, my universe. And here's the breaking news I told you about in the I happen to know, right? My father was friendly with the then Captain of Rescue 1, John Serrato. And I don't know if you remember him, but, I set up a visit. It's a Sunday afternoon, a rainy day. I'm going to go visit him and then go to work a night tour at 154. And I get there in, the afternoon at about 1:30, 2 o'clock, cake in hand, ring the doorbell, knock on the door, whatever. I think it was Paul Hashhagen, as, memory serves, opens the door. And I say, "Oh, how you doing? I'm here to see the Cap." "Oh, he's upstairs." And right away they get a run and they get on the rig. He doesn't come downstairs. They go out the door. Thinking, what's weird? That's strange, right? Like, he's working. I knew he was on duty. So I go upstairs and he's in his office and he's going, "Joe, it's kind of hot in here. Is it?" Evidently he tapped out from a previous run and he says, "Can you open some windows?" And I opened some windows to cool the place off. Well, it turns out he had a heart attack. That was his last tour he worked.
Oh, shit.
So I never had an interview. Consequently, all right.
Leave the cake.
So, and I left the cake too, I think. But thankfully I had the opportunity to interview with Captain Fischler at Rescue 2, probably 6-8 months later. And
how does that go down? Who you just called over there, or you knew somebody?
There was a family connection. I kind of knew.
Always this.
Yeah. But
the hot dog thing didn't hurt. Weren't a bunch of guys from Hot Dog out there in Rescue 2?
Well, no. Well, I don't know. No.
Bobby Gallione, was he in a Hot
Dog?
Dog?
Next door, Ronkonkoma. So Bobby Gallione, and then eventually Johnny Napolitano.
Right.
Billy Ryan, who doesn't go to Rescue 2, but he's, and Hot Dog Pete, right, was a guy.
Yeah.
Who was the guy from 4, the scuba guy?
Billy
Mahoney.
Right?
Yeah. So, they had some group of guys who were, not only on the job, but in special operations, right, in rescue ops. But I get put on the list and get brought over there in October of '95.
How long did you have to wait?
I waited probably about 9 or 10 months.
That's pretty quick.
Yeah, no, I mean, they had a turnover, right? It was the start of a new list, and they had guys getting promoted. Mike Penna, Mike Esposito, Mickey McDonald. Like, there was a group of guys that got made, movement, and a few guys that were waiting to get made. But Captain Fischler was there at the time. Gary Howard, Al Fuentes, Pete Lund. What a great lineup. When Jay Fischler got promoted to chief, Captain Ruvolo came in, right? What a unbelievable leader, teacher, mentor he turned out to be. Great officers, Larry Gray, Tony Errico, Joe Downey came for a stint there, George Hassel and Danny Murphy, right? What a great lineup.
Yeah,
great guys, very welcoming, kind of scary, right? Walking into that place.
I was going to say, you had to be a little intimidated.
Some of the, pusses, right? Like, you'd see, like, they don't look happy all the time, but ended up being all sweethearts and great teachers and sharing knowledge. Terry Coyle, I was at his last fire. He gets hit on the head, taken out by, I think, a partial collapse or something in a frame building over Williamsburg. Bobby LaRocco, Richie Evers, a senior man, right, who walked the walk, talked the talk. Billy Lake, Pete Martin was still there not long before he got promoted. To this day, a guy I still call the best fireman I ever worked with.
Bondi.
Well, I didn't work with him, but probably right. He's part of the 27 Yankee lineup there, right?
Yeah.
Bondi, ILP, Kleehouse, Vigiano, but no, Timmy Higgins. Was a genius. Timmy, right? Great fireman, but if he wanted to be a neurosurgeon, he wanted to be an IT, whatever he put his mind to, he was going to be the best at, right? And it was unbelievable. I'd have the can. He was driving. All of a sudden, I hear a voice in front of me in the building. How did you get there? Right? You know, he got out of the rig, went to the back, got his mask on, and he's in front of us, right? So,
Did you feel intimidated walking in there?
Yeah, a little bit. Although my first 2 tours were on a weekend, a Saturday, Sunday day tour, and the boss for both those tours was Mikey Esposito, right, who was promoted to lieutenant out of there, was in Squad 1 working overtime those 2 tours. And we drilled most of the day, and it was, you know, 2 good days. Everybody was really good, you know, and this is what you got to do. This is what you got to learn. Not a lot of ego, right? Believe it or not, you know, everybody was down to earth. Davey Van Vorst, talk about like unbelievable individual, down to earth, knew everything and could do everything and did everything, but didn't carry himself like that, right? Just what a gentleman and what a genius, right? Bobby Gallione, right? A little scary looking, but as you know, big heart, you know, and would do anything, and you know, incredible fireman. Larry Senzel, you know Larry? I don't know if you know that name, but talk about a journeyman firefighter, you know, great at what he does, not looking for any accolades, no ego. His son just got on the job last year and went to 289, I think. And then, of course, there's Louis Valentino, right? We're coming up to the 30th anniversary of Louis' line of duty death, right? February 5th.
You working that day?
I was coming in that night, right? I was carpooling Mark Gregory. We would carpool once in a while, and a memorable day, right? Like got to work, and Bobby Gallione was sitting at the desk in the office, and you know, Mark had got a heads up maybe from his dad or something that something went down involving Rescue 2 and a serious injury, and they think it's a Rescue 2 member. And when we got there, Bobby had gotten off the phone with somebody and confirmed that it was Louis, and you know, the company was at the hospital. I think Tommy Donnelly was working that day. Terry Coyle, and I just Pete Lund was the boss, but I don't remember who else, you know. But a great group of guys. Eddie Rawl, who killed on 9/11,
right?
76, good guy. Yep. Billy Eisengrind, Lag Boy, right, as we affectionately call him, but really good dude. Eddie Morrow, rope guy, ends up going to the Marine unit. Cliffy Pace, another just, you know, down to earth guy, wanted to go to fires. Mike Quinn gets there. Mike and Mark got there a little bit before I did, but I get there with Billy Esposito and Tommy Donnelly. And Jimmy Jaggett. We all get there at the same time. Right. Big group. Jimmy Jaggett, great guy, you know. And they used to confuse us. Jimmy Jaggett, Joe Jardin, right? And we're both
JJ.
You know, same size, whatever. We'd get confused.
I see Mike Quinn old time in his 7-Eleven. He lives in Long Beach.
Oh, he lives by it, right. Yeah, and he's now the battalion commander in the rescue battalion.
Yes,
done real well for himself.
Were you surprised at the amount of work you guys were going to?
No, I mean, we were hoping to, you know, but a funny 154-307 story. My first winter there, we were hearing Northern Queens units going to multiples like all the time, and they were making my shoes like, Joe, you'd be going to more work over there than we're going, you know. But you know, it didn't wait too long to catch some good fires in Rescue 2. Yeah. First night tour, we go out the door. I remember Rocky was working. Pete Lund gets a medal at this fire. Right around the corner, we pull up the same time as 234, fire in I think it was a brownstone, and you know, and it goes to the Rocky story. You know, we've heard quotes. This ain't the roof, fucko, right? Like from previous Rocky fires, right? But he had the roof this fire, and it was a fire on a lower floor, people trapped. I had the can, you know, and things are happening fast, right? You're trying to keep things in perspective. And so I follow the line in. Pete goes above, you know, rescues a child, and Rocky ends up getting burned in the kitchen on, you know, the parlor floor, you know, but like that was my first job, a lot going on. But yeah, it was great. Right. There were, and I'm not exaggerating, trying not to embellish, but, it was like almost like a switch was flipped on 9/11, right? We constantly had gear in the dryer, right? Pre 9/11, right? You would get wet, you'd put your gear in the dryer down in the basement, and you wore the dry set. And, it was always full of gear, right? Because we were going a lot of work. And after 9/11, not so much. And I don't know why, but yeah, it wouldn't be unusual to go to, 6 to 8 jobs on a 24, and work at 4 or 6 of them,
Right.
and some all hands, minor all hands, some multiples. And yeah, I mean, I don't remember all that. We did a lot of work, right? And it was,
Right.
was definitely a lot of fun. Not motivated to leave. There was a test given while I was there, and I really didn't study.
Hell no, I wouldn't either.
But yeah, what a great place to work. Great guy. I mean, I've been fortunate my whole career, right? Blessed to be surrounded by really, really good people who, in this case, were really good firemen, and good teachers, and certainly taught lessons that, lasted a lifetime, and who came after the 4 of us, Tommy Donnelly, Jimmy Jaggett, myself, but Steve Brown, Tony Cruz, Paulie Soman came soon thereafter, Jimmy Sandus, Dwayne Wood while I was still there, Richie Myers, I was still there. I think the last guy to come before I left was Eddie Chechia. So yeah, just a good group of guys. Of course, on 9/11, we lost Pete Martin, Billy Lake, Eddie Roll, Kevin O'Rourke, Lincoln Quape, Johnny Napolitano, and Danny Libretti, who was 103
guy. Yeah.
Another great guy we had that I didn't list, right? Davey Arcieri. I don't know if you ever worked with Dave or you knew Dave, but just again, no ego, but you wouldn't even know he was a fireman, but he was probably one of the best.
So Nappy got there after you?
And Knapp got there after me. Yep.
Right. I know he had a hard time, right? Because he came from.
Yeah, he another story, right? So Billy Ryan, I don't know if you, Joe Casabiri, was chief of department for a time.
Yep.
The
teddy bear.
Around that time, right? 95, 96. And he was a 14th Division guy, 14th Division commander. So I knew him from there. But he was looking for somebody to drive him when he was a chief. And Billy Ryan, who close family friends, right? He Casabiri worked with Billy's late father, right? And they families were close. So he asked Billy if he would drive him for a time. So Billy said sure, but then Billy wanted a break and get back to the firehouse. So he lined Johnny Knapp up to drive him. And evidently, as the story goes, Chief Casabiri, hey, what can I do for you? And he said, well, and now he knows Bob Gallione, right? Knows
Right.
guys from Ronkonkoma. He's thinking to himself, I can never get to Rescue 2. So how about, can I get to Rescue 1? Can you help me? And I guess he came back several days later. I don't know. He says, well, I can't get you to Rescue 1, but how about Rescue 2?
Wow.
Okay.
And so he had a tough go of it, right? Because of course he didn't take the traditional route of
Right.
reviewing with the captain or being a captain's pick. But to his credit, he put up with a lot, right? And he trained and he did whatever was asked for him. And I think he made his way, and sadly he's killed on 9/11, but he good dude. Yeah.
I think he came from 140, right? Didn't he go from 140?
I think so. I think
Yeah.
140. Yeah. So,
He's a good guy though, man. He's a good guy.
yeah, all good guys. Yeah. But we it was great, right? We all good people coming through, right? In the R group, the early days there, we had John Norman, Terry Hatton coming through, and both those guys, right, a wealth of information and knew how to handle themselves on the fire ground. Terry would get you where you needed to be to do what needed to be done. It was great. And a lot of times, and I don't know if you guys have thought about it, talked about it, right? But why are the rescue operations units, the rescues and squads, so reliable, right? Why do chiefs put their faith? It's rhetorical, but if you want to weigh in,
Well, they know that these guys are training hard. They know that they live and breathe what they do.
They want to go to work,
and they want to go to work. And they know that all we do is train. That's what our focus is.
And we train. You're right. We do, and we train as a team, though, right? And we're
Right.
Rescue 2 is usually on any tour Rescue 2, right?
Right.
You might have a detail from another rescue or squad, but
right?
it's you're a team, right? Who forms as a team
Right.
does, and you're a good, highly functioning team. Same with the squads, and you do train as right. The other companies, they don't have that luxury, right?
Yeah.
Of always working together. Look at the average roster on an average tour. Could be a covering boss. Not that we didn't get them, in the rescue,
Right.
right? But generally from rescue operations, right? So a known commodity, and most of the guys, on the back step work together day in, day out, knew one another. But pick a ladder, right? Who's working? A covering boss might have a detailed chauffeur, might have a probie,
Right.
90-day detail, or so. We weren't at the mercy of that staffing, right? So I don't know that we ever thought we were better than anybody, right? But we certainly thought we sucked less than, right?
I think too, what it is too, a lot of firehouses, and this is not necessarily a bad thing, but a lot of firehouses have an A team, a B team, a C team. In SOC, there was no B team and C team. If you were an A team, you were gone. Simple as that. You were weeded out, and they could send you back. Whereas if you're in a regular firehouse, if you're a B guy, you're not getting that guy out of there, man. He might be there his whole fucking career. But that's the
Plus, even
reality of it.
The rosters were. I mean, I remember Rescue 2 always had, 30 guys on the roster. You know what I mean, or whatever they had, and so you always had. Even if you had an open group, somebody was filling in, like you said, right? So it was still coming from your house the majority of the time, Right. And that's not to say there's a lot of trucks out there, busy truck, good companies that have, I don't know if they have 30 guys on the roster, but they have, they'll have 26, 27 guys. They'll have a couple extra guys, right? But I always felt like the squad, because you have to have extra guys because you need to have 2 guys to do scuba, right? You need 2 guys to do entry. You need 2 guys to do whatever it is. You need to have that all the training. So you had to
not
have.
To say that companies like 111 or they all are probably like they have an A team, period, because they'll send you out of there if you go there. But most companies, there's guys there that are less than because they choose to be. They're not drilling like we were drilling or 103 was drilling. You know what I mean? The companies set their own high standards, and if you're not a part of that, you're gone, man. Period. So I think
and you'll not want to stay there, right?
Right. They'll make it so you don't have to stay there. Right.
Right. So, but no, it was just a great environment to be in, working with great people. Just a couple. I don't remember a lot of fires, but a couple of incidents, right, that were certainly learning opportunities. I have a picture of the one guy. I think it says Hefty Hauler on it. We have a run one day, and I don't know if you could tell, but that's actually a 1,000-something pound individual on a 4x8, platform.
Runs. Yeah.
A lot of 176. Captain Vigiano goes out the door for we called it then a hefty hauler run, right? But bariatric patient would be the terminology now, and they realize it's beyond their capability to handle. So he special calls rescue, gets a couple other units, gets a chief to the scene. This turns into eventually like an 8-hour operation. But the point I want to make, Gary Howard's the boss. It's a day tour. We go out probably at 1 PM or so, and Billy Eisengrind was working, Eddie Rawl, myself. I'm forgetting who else, Stevie Brown. And so the decision to be made was, should we take that fella down the interior stairs or out the front window? And, what would be, the best option? And he gets us all together, right? Here he could have just decided, right? He knew what maybe he wanted to do, but he got the input from everybody. And we didn't all agree on one course of action, but, it was decided eventually to use the interior stairs, and we all got on the same page. Turns into an 8-hour operation. Special Calls Rescue 3, which was the collapse unit. They came and built that platform. Using 4x4s and 4x8 sheets.
So this is before this started becoming like a common thing. Like we would go on those a couple of times a year.
Oh, we would go on them often, but not somebody
not like
who weighed 1,000 something.
Yeah.
So we actually used two lines, ropes to pull him up, to get him off the bed, right, first, and then put him on racks, right, rappel racks to lower him. Oh yeah, everything had to go out of service, right? That like you
Oh,
couldn't undo knots. You heard the rappel racks sort of singing as we were
screaming.
trying to lower them, right? But yeah, sadly the fella dies when he gets to the hospital. You know? But really, a takeaway for me was that leadership. Like, hey man, I don't know everything, so let me get your input and get some of the pros and cons for each, and I'll make the decision, right? And so that, and the other one, another leadership lesson while I was there, and boy, what a dope in retrospect. We go out the door at early in the morning, probably 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, for a run towards Red Hook, or down South Brooklyn, for it was a confined space run for a worker in a Con Ed power generating barge who hasn't been seen for hours, right? And they had a CO alarm, right? Carbon dioxide alarm, CO2 alarm, that went off, and this guy hasn't been seen, right? So it takes a little while to get there, and it was a fairly junior crew, might have had a covering boss. We get there, and there's another special unit on the scene already, and they're already in the process of packaging the fella, right? And we go down, we assist, and what are we doing, right? We're, on SCBA, we're monitoring, sure enough, low oxygen, and now we're trying to take this big guy in a Stokes, he's probably been dead for hours, up ship's ladders. We had to go up 2 or 3 different levels. I'm at the feet, right, under this guy, and it ain't going easy, right? Like, it's taking some time, right? And we get him out, we get back to quarters. Well, what didn't we do? And Billy Lake called us on it, right? We should have been on supplied air, right? We should have took our time. We just kind of reacted to the situation without thinking it through and talking about it. And so again, another lesson, like, put that training to good use. Don't just react and respond and, and act. So.
Well, sometimes hindsight's 20/20, that. I mean, but still.
Oh yeah, but when I was at the bottom of the feet and we're trying to push,
and now your vibra alert's going on.
I know I ain't getting over them. It resonated a little bit, right?
And all of a sudden you hit.
Yeah, we had a fat guy stuck in a bathtub, no less. Oh, and how hard it is to break that seal! Yeah. Oh my God! I think we actually used the Denver drill. We had a high point outside the window, I think, and we tugged him out of the bathtub, but he was huge. And naked, which was a sight to see.
That's always yummy.
Yeah. He must have had 8,000 empty bottles of Coca-Cola in his apartment. I've never seen this much Coca-Cola in anybody's apartment.
Well, there you go.
We had a run when I was a captain, and I don't know if you were working for this in 288, to the project, maybe the Ravenswood project, something down by, 260 in that area, right? On that topic. And it was a what do we call them? A heavy clutter condition, right? I haven't seen this fella for a couple of days. Collier's Mansion, right? And we get there, and oh my God, we were outside. Hazmat was on the scene, thank God. Rescue Ford beating us in, thank God. And written above the door to this apartment was the label "Stinky Chinky," right? He was an Asian guy, right? And neighbors were not happy with this fella, right? But they were like, we want to go, we want you to go in there. I'm like, well, hazmat's in there. You can't imagine what's been in there, right?
Who the hell knows what's in there?
So they were into it. Like, this was their thing. Like, let them have it, right? But they found the fella, and he wasn't in good shape, right?
Yeah.
But we didn't have to get deconned after. We maintained our situational awareness and stood by. So
they're into it, thank God.
So I won't go into detail. Obviously, 9/11 happens,
right.
It's a sad day. But we had started studying, and thanks to Tommy Donnelly, right? Retires out of Rescue 1, amazing career, credible firefighter, now a Suffolk County legislator. He connects me to a study group. This starts in about 2000, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, early got a couple guys he knows from 270. Tony Tedeschi, right?
Triple T
guy at the time. Frankie Lieb, a 270 guy. Richie Wiley, a 270, and at the time Jimmy Yearsley was in 270. And Tommy didn't know if he was studying for captain or lieutenant because he was on a lieutenant's list, but wasn't sure if he was going to. Of course, 9/11 happens, and he's made the next day or whenever they made that large group of officers, right? So very successful study group. We're supposed to take the test scheduled for October of 01, gets pushed off to March. We all do pretty good. Most of us get made in the first, first group off that when they finally make lieutenants in December of 02, right? They kind of rushed the whole test promulgation process, and they made, I think, 110 guys or somewhere there about that. And half of the group went to flips, and the other half went right to the field, right? So I was, and what they did, the senior half went right to the field, and the less senior half went to flips. So really surreal time, right? I get promoted. My first day as a lieutenant is Saturday. My last tour as a firefighter is Friday night. Right?
Wow.
Friday night, then I'm going to work Saturday night. So Friday night tour, I'm driving Danny Murphy in Rescue 2, right? And I think we go to a couple jobs. We laugh. He gives me some good advice. Danny was, great at that. And the next night, Lou, you're going to 329 for the tour, right?
Oh my God!
Talk about changing culture, right?
Yeah.
329 for those. It's in the Rockaways, not the busiest company. They don't do the most work, but quiet place.
Putting it mildly.
And not to say, you talked about cultures before and training, not the same sort of environment as Rescue 2. And I walk in that night and can't find anybody. Like, who's here? Is anybody in the fire?
Hello.
I finally find the guy I'm relieving. He goes home, and then we finally, about an hour into the tour, make sure we have all the people we're supposed to have. And they warned me about, a siren's going to go off if we get a run to I'm having
Breezy.
Breezy, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm having a brain fart, right? Well, sure enough, the freaking siren goes off, right? And then we get like, oh my God, right? And Breezy's way out of the way, right? The rest of Rockaway has to come a long way. I hear the chief say, hey, give me a 10-12. So I know what that is, even though, it's been a while since the test and I haven't been to flips, but I know what a 10-12 means. And so it ended up being a small gas leak in a fireplace. We turned the gas off, and I tell the chauffeur to give a 10-12. Well, evidently the chauffeur didn't know what a 10-12 was. And all of a sudden I have the 4-7 chief, who was not in a good mood, like bitching to me that
Driving all the way over there because you haven't given a preliminary.
Yeah, right. But that was the first half of that 24. Different circumstance on the second half. I go to a ladder company in the Rockaways for overtime, my first overtime tour. And we go out the door with a detailed chauffeur not too far away, water leak in the street, right? We respond and we pass it. I see it. And I say, oh, there it is. It's behind us. Now it's a detailed chauffeur. He's from another company. He doesn't drive there. They don't let him drive there, I find out. We make a right turn on a one-way street, but not the way we're supposed to go. To make a right turn on another one-way street.
You're not supposed to go.
We make another turn to go the wrong way. To finally get back to, I think it was Beach Channel Drive, right? And he makes the right, and we pull up in front of the water leak. I get out, and the guys get out of the back. They go, hey, Lou. We think he hit the car back there on the corner. I said, well, God. I didn't feel a thing, right? I said to the guy, and I won't give his name, I said, hey, go check. They said you might have hit the car. And so we check on the water leak, and, it's nothing. We shut off with.
Oh, goodness.
He comes walking back. He says, it's all good, Lou. It's all good. Right? Like, okay. So one of the guys says, Lou, it's not good. He says,
it's not good.
There were two women in the car, and he tore the bumper off.
Oh, my God.
So like, all right.
And you're thinking to yourself, why did I take this test?
It's all good.
So what do I do now? Do I call somebody? I don't know how to call for a chief. So do I tell him I have an accident? I don't know what this. So I get on the radio and I say, hey, Queens, send the chief for this water leak, whatever, right? And I'll deal with telling him the story when he gets there. Well, another leadership thing, right? Not the same chief, thank goodness, as the night before, right? It's a chief named Neil Hines. Really, really good guy. And so I would, learn more than just that one interaction. But he pulls up, tell him the story, and he says, "Don't worry, Lou, we'll take care of it. We'll work on it together. You got to do some." He said, "Piece of advice, though, it's a water leak. I wouldn't go the wrong way on a one-way street to a water leak."
No shit.
Not a chief, and he was great, right? Like there was no upset, matter of fact, or whatever, right? So just fast forward the next tour, and I'm working in now I'm off the peninsula on the mainland, and first run of the night, I'm in a ladder truck. Sounds like a job. What does the chauffeur do? Goes out the door, and he's like 30 blocks as fast as we can the wrong way on a one-way street. And I'm just like, yeah, let's hope for the best, But all is good. So yeah, let me just fast forward, right? And get assigned to the rescue school. I think. Oh, I told you a story in the pre-show. Bouncing around for a few weeks in the 13th. And I got a couple calls from a couple different, guys in a couple squads saying, hey, they need a lieutenant. Would I be interested? Yeah, certainly, And one of them happened to be Hoppy in 288, and he was great. He goes, hey, Joe, we need a guy. What do you think? He says, we're doing some work. We do a lot of running around, whatever, but we have Rosa's Pizza right around the corner. Oh, we got Rosa's Pizza.
Big selling point. Big selling point.
You had me at, a spot, right, in a squad. So a week later, I'm doing work in my house. I'm painting, I think, a ceiling. I'm on a ladder, and the phone rings. My wife answers it, and she goes, "Oh, it's Chief Norman on the phone for you." And I think I saluted, right? He was Chief of Rescue Operations. I picked up the phone. I said, "Yeah, Chief, what can I do for you?" He says, "Hey, Joe, I have an opportunity for you. I'd like you to go, run the rescue school for a year." And of course, me being an idiot, I say, "Well, Chief, I think I have a couple squads that, are looking for a lieutenant." Yeah, that ain't going to happen.
Hey, at least he was honest.
So you want the rescue school or whatever? I said, yeah, I'll take the rescue school, right? So really great experience. Worked there with, they were rotating us in and out every 6 months. So Tommy Clare left. I came in. I got to do 6-month block with Billy Ryan, which was, quite the experience. And then a 6-month stint with Billy Redden, who, again, another experience,
good guy too. Yeah,
both really good dudes, right? And you heard Mike Dragonetti tell you the elevator story last week, the ding.
Oh, that's right. He did say that.
One of the things two big things that we did while we were there is one, move from the trailer. You remember the rescue school trailer down by Hazmat into the building 9, the offices that they currently occupy. And the new building, we took a bunch of space in there, right? The field house. So that was a big lift and a lot of effort. And we also had to start the SOC support ladder program, which was very controversial at the time. The union was trying to stop it, starts and stops, but it all went off really well, thanks to, in large part, a fellow named Stan Cecina. I don't know if you remember Stan.
I remember Stan, yeah.
Really great instructor, really good dude. Great instructors, as you know, at the rescue school. Mike Davis, Joe Light, Tommy Bone, Jimmy Murray from Rescue Captain of 5 now, Jimmy Kiesling, Billy Eisengrind. Just a really great, great thing. And one of the things I did as a covering lieutenant, I think I was lieutenant, working at Rescue 1 as a tour, a day tour. And Frank Rush was new to the company. You know Frank, right? Retired now.
Yeah.
And I forget who else was working, but there was only one diver. So I ended up being diver 2. And sure enough, we get a run. Diver 1 was a chauffeur. Really crazy run to Staten Island. There were several workers who were working on a bridge who had fallen off for some reason. A couple of them were hanging on ropes, and 1 or 2 of them were in the water. So it ended up being a combination high-angle dive job. Rescue 5, of course, was there. Rescue 2 was a second rescue, and then they special called a third rescue, which was Rescue 1. And I remember Frank had to drive. He was a chauffeur, but hadn't driven Rescue 1 because the chauffeur, who was Diver 1, had to get in the back and get prepared to go. So he gets in the front, and he goes, "So, can we go through the tunnel and take the Jersey Turnpike?" Right? And it made sense, right? Because just think about, right? This run was on 440 in Staten Island.
Yeah, it's on the back
right next to the Staten Island Expressway.
Mm-hmm.
And we couldn't get over the bridge, let alone. So I guess so. Let's give it a shot, right? So we get there, we respond. I don't think we ended up working, but again, another, we'll ask for forgiveness, right? Rather than, I don't know if to this day, if you can or you're not supposed to do that, right? But we did it. But I get thankfully, thanks to Freddie LaFamina, I think at this point has me go UFO in Squad 252. Tony Tricarico's the boss. Cheeseman is, Bobby Spano's there. Stevie Mokler, the other boss. What a great firehouse, great bunch of guys, a lot of young guys, right? Still trying to build up from 9/11. Norton was still there.
Norton.
With Tommy Burke, for a short time. Johnny Feehan, Jimmy O'Connor. Those guys would soon get promoted. Greg Patsos was one of my regular chauffeurs. Tommy Meehan, really good dude. I got to pick it up a little bit here, right? So a great experience. They were, what a great firehouse. Little different environment than Rescue 2, right? We say Rescue 2, the only way you're going to get a group together is, go to work, right? We really didn't socialize a lot when I was there, but it was a really good firehouse, a lot of great traditions, including doing the brass on Tuesdays, and the place was immaculate, right? What a great place. A lot of young guys. But I get asked, I'm not there too long, still UFO, right, until further orders, thinking I'll get the spot eventually when they put Rescue 6 in operation for what ends up being a 6-month time frame between October and April, 2004, right, when they're going to have the Republican National Convention in Manhattan, and the two Bush daughters were staying, I think, in the Soho area. So George Healy was the captain. He gets a call from John Norman, get 3 lieutenants. So it ends up being Dave Marmon, Jimmy Kiesling, and myself go there as the 3 lieutenants. Interesting experience. Upset the Rescue 1. Bobby Morris wasn't a happy camper during that time frame. The staffing was, if you remember, pick 2 guys from every
right?
They went there, but
Paulie too.
Came with a good. What's that?
Paulie Patsos, I remember. I think it was Paulie Patsos.
Yeah, Paul Patsos was there. Yeah. Yep. Everybody came with a good attitude. Eddie Morrison was one of my chauffeurs. John Sorello. We had Jimmy Lopez, I remember, there. Paul Mastronardi. A cast of others. There were three fires. One really notable one in Confucius Plaza, a wind-driven fire. Jimmy Kiesling got all 3 fires, right? The rest of us just ran around. We got Italian ices at night. So,
what was the cutoff now between? How'd they divide up Manhattan between you guys and Rescue 1?
Did we go to either 14th Street or 23rd Street? One of the main thoroughfares. I forget what it was, but it was just, we went everything. Yeah, we had everything below whatever that demarcation line was,
Right.
And several times, you would catch Captain Morris's ire, right, when they would be assigned mistakenly and then told to 10-2, And like I said, when I'm working, they didn't miss any work because, nothing happened. But
how long was that? That was only a few months?
Stint, right? It ends in April. October to April, and thankfully Tony Tricarico lets me come back, and just a great experience being.
Were there any thoughts of keeping that open permanently?
There was rumors when it first opened, if you remember, right?
Yep.
Talk, and I don't know how credible or not they were, if they were looking for funding for it, but I still have you just showed the front piece and the collar brass. I think Herbie Eisner got that for us. He bought that for the bosses there. But so now I'm on a 5-year sort of schedule. Get promoted lieutenant 2002. I get promoted to captain in 2007. Get assigned to the 14th Division, and now I run into the other Kubler, right? In his
Smiley.
Office, showing up, introducing myself, and first thing he says, "You're not going to be here for long." Like Di Domenico told me when I went to the 13th, "You're not going to be here for long." Well, no, I think I will be. And well, your brother was right. I wasn't there for long, right? Because in a 3-week time frame, there were 3 or 4, captains in SOC, including 3 assigned guys who were done, out on medical leave and line of duty injuries, and they needed to replenish. So it got me, Tedeschi, and Kevin Murphy back pretty quickly.
He was a nice guy too, Kevin Murphy.
Yeah, really good guy, right? So worked just maybe 2 weeks, but again, another learning thing. One of my several tours in the 14th, I'm working in 117. So I got to work in your firehouse, and we were out. I don't know, we weren't doing BI. I know, you wouldn't respect that, but we were out drilling, or we had to do something, and we get a visit from a chief, right? It was Jerry Tracy.
Oh my God, Tracy!
He was unbelievable. He just was celebrating the fact that we were out doing whatever, very motivational, and pat on the back, and that means a lot, right? To
It's awesome.
the members when when you get the chief or whatever officer come out and compliment you on it, right? Great opportunity. I never got a spot, covered, did the rescue R group for a long time. Again, thanks to Freddie LaFamina, he would line me up with UFO spots. Had a great run in 288, great run in Squad 18. One memorable run in Squad 1, first made, when was it? It was 2008 in March. 51st Street collapse. You remember that tower crane came down and killed a woman like in an upper floor apartment, and crushed a brownstone. And I was in Squad 1, like I said. They had the TRV then, so they went on, any of the big and memorable. What I remember about that is we got a detail we were supposed to get a detail from 103, but who walks in the door but a junior guy from 290. I don't remember if he was on probation or just off, but Abdel Aziz, right?
Oh yeah.
And he's there like a half hour, and out the door we go. And he was with me every step of the way. He was into it. You could tell he was
in the
special,
squad now, right? He's in 252. He might even be promoted now. I think he's promoted.
I think he's a captain. He was lieutenant in Squad 18, maybe.
Yeah, wow. Yeah.
And I don't know where he is.
I used to call him Al Jazeera.
Yeah. But I mean, great. Here's this, and you know what? There was a lot of like, look at this, screwing with us, sending us the junior guy. But what? He was right there, and he contributed.
He was always into the job, man. He was always into the job.
Super experience. And another job I remember, I think you got the picture.
You took that job from me, you son of a gun.
Did I?
Which one? Which one? Hold on a minute.
Well, we were out early in the morning. We go to a 1075 out east in Squad 288, and it was nothing. We get turned around. We're coming back on the expressway, and do you see it there?
I don't see it.
Cliffy Harris is driving me, and it's it comes in as a truck through a building. There it is. And so we turn the corner. I don't know. This is the building. I'm looking at street level for a truck through the building. When Cliffy points up, he goes, I think that's what we're here for.
And the guy's in it.
And the driver, he's got a death grip on the steering wheel. The windshield came out, and it ended up being a lengthy, probably about an 8-hour operation, right? Because we didn't get the guy out. We secured the rig, right, with rigging. And I think 163 came in with
they came in with the bucket. Right.
I think we ultimately put grease on the floor and grip hoisted.
We used soap. We first secured it, right, and then
grip hoisted with
grip
soap.
hoists and
4 grip hoists, right?
But that was, if you remember, there was a spandrel beam over that opening that cracked. Like that was legit. I think
that was a legit job, man.
Shoring thing there too. So. But then, fast forward, right, another 5 years, 2012, I'm promoted to battalion chief and get assigned to the 11th Division and do a lot of, work in the 2A Battalion, great battalion. And turns out I was, looking for a spot there, didn't come to pass. I then, quickly, when I realized that's not going to happen, I asked for a detail to the 15th. And Rain Cartwright was great. He was still the 15th Division.
My favorite, that guy. Love that guy.
Super, right? He just before he got promoted, became the battalion commander. But I'm not there that long when now rescue operations needs a guy, right? Because
just when you thought you were out, they bring you back.
Well, I mean, I drank the Kool-Aid, right? So why not come back? But great experience there for me. Unlike most of the other captains, I never ABC'd, right? So I needed to take advantage of the BC command course. We had great instructors in there at the time, and go, I went and rode with guys. Steve Garrity, who was Chief Rescue Operations when I was covering Captain, he was great. Rather than put me in when there was there was no need for me in rescue ops anywhere, he'd say, Joe, go find a chief to mentor with, right? And that was really helpful, but we had a very senior battalion chief class, and two of the most senior, E.J. Tierney and Dennis Murphy, who had been promoted at a 105, right? Both really good dudes. And to his credit, E.J. passed, I think a couple of years ago now, but E.J. was never going to get to full pay as a battalion chief. Talk about the kind of individuals and the character, right, on this job. But he wanted to progress and learn more. And he came in with the attitude, teach me. I want to learn. I want to be good. I'm not assuming I know more than anybody else. And what a great dude he was, right? But we had a good class. And so, went to work in the rescue battalion. Great lineup there. Got to work with Donnie Haid, super individual. Spillane, who was moving into an administrative role, which was why I had an opportunity to go there. Jimmy Yakimovich was there. Joe Downey, the Yak. Richie
How you doing,
Gladys.
firefighter?
Do you really care? How are you?
Do you really care?
Do you really care?
That's a typical. You go into a diner, right, and the waitress, hey, how are you guys today? And
Yeah.
do you really
Do
care?
you really care?
She's going to serve us our food, Jimmy. Come on.
After I retired, I would tell when I would see him at Hobbies, they're like, "No, I really don't care."
So
I'm trying to get him on. I'm trying to get him on.
But great, great 5 years. Went to a lot of fires. Never the incident commander, but still learned a lot. You're often
That's a
in
good
the,
gig. That's a good gig, man.
Yeah, it was a great gig, right?
Who was driving you?
I had Davey Rayner driving me, right? Who
I didn't get a picture of Rainey yet.
a lot of the other guys were scared of having him drive them, right? Because he drove very, he got
aggressive.
he wanted
He's
to
an
get
aggressive guy.
and I was okay with it, But a couple of good runs. I got a couple of pictures if you want to show them.
Which ones?
We had a job scaffolding, 2 workers on a scaffolding at One World Trade Center, around on the 68th floor, hanging, right? But this is from the inside. Rescue 1, just a little story about this, right? They're using the glass cutter, and they know how to do this work, right? It was funny, me standing there, and they're doing their thing. Billy Ryan's the boss, and listening to all the workers, right? The first comments were, they can't cut through that. That glass is impenetrable. They're never going to get through it, right? Well, they got through it, And then when they got through it, oh, man, run away. We're all going to be sucked out of the building, with the pressure differential.
The vortex.
But great operation. Rescue 1, Squad 18 did a great job. They, lowered a safety to each of the, guys on the scaffold, lowered them portable radio, got somebody to translate, and it went very smooth. It was a very high-profile
Those guys
job.
do that a lot, man. They're really good at that. They're really good at that.
It's all coming back to me now, Roof. The safety, the radio. Look,
Remember the tape? They used to put the tape on the window.
Yeah, right. Then another job we had, Billy Carlson told you a story a little bit when he was there. He drove me one day, and it was a busy day. I think it was a weekend, a Saturday or Sunday, but a high-rise building on Madison, like, kind of a cake shape, right? Very wide, and would, get narrow as it went up. They were lowering a big AC unit onto the roof, and they dropped it, right? And it hit one of the outcroppings on a lower level. And look at that 8x8s, right?
Wow.
Support, the concrete structure. This was on the 30-something floor, right? Have we ever done that kind of shoring in a high-rise building, bringing up, the lumber and elevators, right, and erecting the shores up there? But that was a very interesting job. So yeah, and we can move on.
Here's a picture of you and Davey Rayner.
Oh, Davey, yeah, yep, Dave, yeah, good.
We got to get him, Roofy. We got to get Dave Rayner on the show.
He's a character, man, Dave. He,
He's probably on a mountain right now, climbing
and rappelling, and
yeah.
What a good dude. So we'll skip the USAR stuff. Go to Deputy 2017. I get promoted to Deputy right before I get promoted. I'm in the Rescue Battalion, standing outside Bill Selig's door. He was Chief of SOC then. I got to get him to endorse something, and Paul Cressy, who's chief of safety, sees me there. He asked me to come in, and he basically explains he needs an XO. He asked me if I'm getting promoted. I said, I think so. So great. No, well, that's coming up. But
all right.
But
that one?
well, that's Paul, right, on his retirement. So I became his executive officer. Very interesting, right? Didn't know if I'd like safety, right? Seems like a culture clash.
I remember him.
Ops to safety, very, very intelligent, even keeled. They named a resource after him. The Cressy books were all about the subway system and what resources are in each station. Really interesting. One job I went to was his XO fire up on I think it was Prospect Avenue. I remember it was December 28th, 2017. Very, very cold night. Jeff Bassinelli was the battalion chief. I believe Jay Jonas was the deputy. Not much of a fire, and I think it was a 5-story tenement. 12 fatalities, right, in this very small fire. A kid either playing with matches or put some rubbish on a stovetop. Strangest thing, right? Not much of a fire. They put the fire out quick. You went into the apartments where the individuals were, and it was like they were frozen in time. Like they never.
I remember that job.
Many of them
really
didn't make a move. A floor, 2 floors above. It was.
I remember that.
Jeff Fascinelli did a great job. And talk about irony or coincidence. He would later be acting deputy for the fire that Lieb had. Right.
Well, those people died.
Yeah, 17, I think it was, right, in that one. So, very, very good leader, incident commander. So I thought I was going to become chief of safety. Didn't happen. Get a knock on my door. Jimmy Leonard, you're going to go to fire prevention and be the chief of fire prevention. I said, well, I like what I'm doing here, chief.
No.
He said, let me think about it, right? And same thing with John Buckite, who was working at the fire academy as a deputy and thought he was going to become the chief of the fire academy. We're both called to the office, and you're going to fire prevention, right? So culture clash, right?
He pulled a Norman on you. Yeah, that ain't happening.
So yeah, my world was rocked. Turns out to be a very interesting time. We did a lot of good things in fire prevention that people don't know about. Not a lot of time, not enough time to explain, but very rewarding. A lot of really great people in fire prevention. A couple. I'll talk. Jesus Martinez ran training. He became a chief fire protection inspector. Kelly Carr, who's married to Lieutenant Patrick Carr, she's an attorney but runs the code development unit. Does an unbelievable job. Ron Cannerman, an executive inspector. Just an incredible person. If I had like 30, 40, 50 of those individuals, we could take over the world, right? And we made a lot of positive gains, a lot of challenges. People don't realize you go from knowing a little bit about fire operations to running a business, right? We had a $69 million budget and brought in $72 million in revenue the first couple of years I was there, right? So it's a big business. On the first floor of Metrotech, I don't know if you've ever seen it, is what looks like the Department of Motor Vehicles, where people come in to get all their permits and take their tests, and it's quite the operation. About 600 people, 7 or 8 different units.
Wow.
A lot to learn.
I didn't know any of that.
Very challenging, and made every day interesting. It wasn't, we got to hire guys overtime, or he's got too many mutuals. They haven't done enough BI, right? Like I didn't deal with that, but very interesting stuff nonetheless, right? So you brought up that picture before. We went there. This was the team for a good part of the time I was there. I become chief of fire prevention. I'm working with John Buckite, who probably is the most interesting man in the world. And then
the most interesting man in the world.
Kevin Brennan came, and I think we had a pretty good team. Tom McCavanagh preceded us. He was there with Eddie Ferrier. Do you remember Eddie?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He was a chief in the 4-4, right?
Yeah, I remember the mustache. He looked like Tom Selleck.
He looks like the most interesting man in the world.
He does.
But I think John's out in Hawaii now. He lives out in Hawaii full time. Really good.
Sucks, right? That's
spear fishing and surfing and doing all the things.
That's terrible.
But yeah, great experience. When you're on staff, you cycle through what we call citywide command duty once every 2 weeks. When you get the 3rd star, you become assistant chief. You fill in for 4th alarm and 5th alarm coverage. So, you're going to large incidents, multiples when you're not working, right? But just, I know we're pressed for time, right?
You're good.
Yeah,
Chief, how did you, how long did you stay with the fire prevention? Was that a year, 2 years, 3 years?
No, I got there in 2018 and I was there till
23.
20,
March.
well, is that what I said? No,
March
No.
of 23, it says.
no. Well, then I screwed up. Me and Kevin, politics being what politics is, we get removed from fire prevention to operations, right? And then that leads to other things that eventually lead to code, right?
Got to use code now.
But great aides while I was on staff. Josh Dillette, who right?
Oh, yes, 290. Yeah, Josh.
Brief stint over there, right? Jimmy Brady from Rescue 2. He needed a place to land for a while he was, on his way out of the job. Another most interesting man in the world, Rich Naviaski from Squad 18.
Yes, we had him on.
Oh my God!
He had many talents, right?
You got the boat trip, and
oh my God, he took a boat trip across.
I could listen to him for hours, right? He
writes music, right? He writes songs. He's
really great dude. And the guy had with me the longest, Joe Wiz, who
Firefighter Joe Wiz.
Firefighter Joe Wiz.
Yeah, Driver Joe, as he's known, but he was my aide longer than I think.
Oh, Frank stole him from you.
Well, I kind of gave him up when I saw what the politics was doing, and I didn't want Joe to be contaminated by any of that.
Hey Chief, you know what happens a lot of the times when we get the guys on the show, you watch some of these guys, you go to these things where, like you said, fire prevention or whatever, you're not going here, you're coming to the rescue school, right? And you're like, or whatever, and it turns out to be this thing you didn't expect, right? Like sometimes the people you meet and the opportunities you have, and obviously on the back end most of the time it works out for you. You know what I mean? Like in a certain way, right? But almost all the guys who have done something like that, I remember Joe Higgins talking about, he didn't want to, Chief Gansey wanted him to go to the Rock, and he wanted to go to fires, and it was one of the best things that he said like ever happened to him on the job. You know what I mean? Like it was so fulfilling to him, and something he would have never probably signed up for. I don't know if it was his brother who signed him up or told him to go down, and but that just seems like it's always that where you don't think it's going to work out, and it turns out to be some of the best things. You meet the best people, and
I like how you told the story about how at all the family holidays, the guys the brothers would get into fist fights at the holiday parties. I think that's great.
Never liked you.
I didn't think that though, Lou. One of my first days, right after being promoted, I'm in a project meeting for this dysfunctional technology project that was over budget, way behind schedule. Everybody was finger pointing, it was fire prevention's fault. No, it was, what is it? BTDS's, I'm walking in on this. I don't know anything, right? But it's just kind of tough meeting, right? And it was a day, you remember, I think there was a 4th or a 5th alarm in a parking garage out at in Brooklyn, right by King's Plaza.
Yeah, nasty.
So
nasty.
The week before, I'm in safety. I'm going to be at this thing, right? Here I am listening to Charlie Brown's Teacher, right? Like, thinking like, and I'm getting all the texts on the, like, what am I doing here? But to your point, in the long run, it met really a lot of good people. The insolvable problems that we had to deal with, and politics being what they were, you got to deal with. Never thought, as a dumb fireman, you're going to be dealing with City Hall politics. You're kind of naive to that, and at the mercy of the true political operatives, right? That's what they play their games. But yeah, so it was a very, very rewarding experience.
Did you ever think you would get to where you got to? Like, I mean,
no, not.
I mean, how crazy is that?
I was very happy in the rescue battalion. It was great. And then that, 4-letter word, proceed, but that guy Lieb, right, who could sell ice to an Eskimo, he convinced me to take the deputy's test. And at that point in my career, when I was about to get promoted, I had 30-something years. So my plan was to do about a year probably, and then use comp time and retire. And but when the safety opportunity came along, that seemed interesting, piqued my interest. And then I stay another 7 or 8 years, right, beyond that. But no, again, fortunate to have been around such good people for, most of my career.
Right. Do we want to talk about the demotion to DC?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So again, politics is politics, and there was a day there was supposed to be a staff meeting. The newly appointed fire commissioner was going to attend, and about I guess an hour and a half before the scheduled meeting that we were preparing to go to, me and 2 other my colleagues get notified that we don't need you at that meeting. You're to call the commissioner's executive assistant or whatever and set up a separate meeting with the executive officer or whatever. And like, that's strange. And so go to that meeting, told that, you're going to be demoted. But if you so choose, we can talk about another option, and while it wasn't mentioned, it was implied that, I could retire. Right. And so I, leave the meeting, don't say much, and don't give any indication, get down to my office and I text Lieb and John Esposito, who are up in the meeting, that the fire commissioner just had exited, saying, hey, just so you know, we're getting demoted, and Frank being Frank, after, the talk was being cohesive and improving communication.
I never liked you.
All except for you, Jardin.
Frank being Frank said, whoa, stop this right now. Do you know Jardin just got told he's getting demoted? And it caught the chief of department and the chief of operations by surprise, and Espo, to his credit, did what he did, not soon thereafter, and requested a demotion, and many of the other staff members followed suit, supporting John. And if you remember, that was the weekend of the Buff Show.
Yes.
And we John and I planned to go, John Esposito and I planned to go to, shoot, right, fire our guns that we hadn't in a while at the shooting range. And we thought maybe that's not the best idea. So we decided to go to the Buff Show and
hang out with the Gettin' Salty guys.
So it turned out to be a good day, but the silver lining in all that was, I probably stayed on the job longer than I might have, because frankly, Metro Tech became a toxic work environment. It was not a fun place to work. It wasn't like it had been previously. And I got to go to fires, right? Got to be back in the firehouse, got to be back in the troops, got to, do the things that we like to do, right, in the job. So really, really a great time. And thanks to the fellas in both the 13th and 14th divisions, I was assigned to eventually to the 13th, but worked in both based on the needs. And, Danny Brown, George Healy, Gene DiToronto, Bobby Spooth in the 14th were great. Mark Ferran, I don't think he was working, but he was still the commander in the 14th. And Mark Cucurullo. And, that cast has changed a little bit since I worked there, but they made it a great environment. The aides in both places were great. And, great experience.
Trying to get that Ferran cat on the show, man. He's resisting.
It's good when you get lifted. The brothers like you. They feel like you're demoted. They feel like you're
I was gonna zing you with one before, Ruffy, but I was like, hold on.
Okay.
You can empathize a little bit, but yeah, that sums up my.
That was it. Retiring.
That's it. That's all you got. What
else you got? That's it. Come on.
I think that's it.
What are you doing now?
So now trying to wrestle my golf game into, some semblance of organized, a sport. But I'm on the board. I know did you do it already? You're going to do it. The First Responder Center for Excellence. You're going to do an ad for them.
Yep.
So, Pal Lee, recruited me, got me to,
it's like a stick of gum on your shoe. You can't get rid of them, right?
With a leaf, you can't
He
get rid
does
of
a
that.
great job. Talk about a guy with a motor that doesn't stop.
Oh my God, I thought I was bad. That guy don't stop.
But I am, I lost my wife back in 2002. After a 7-year battle with cancer, she was certainly a tough cookie, and it was tough. But lightning can strike twice. I met a woman, just a lovely woman, beautiful inside
You
and out.
ain't kidding, and we've seen it, right, Roof?
Oh,
We can
she was
attest
on
to
the
that.
boat ride, right? And we're
my
getting married in August, and
who am I?
Oh, that's somebody in love who's very schmoopy. Good for you. Well, you guess what? We get to steer again this boat ride if you come in.
Oh, yeah. So, her dad just had. He was a battalion chief, as it turned out, coincidentally, and was the captain of Squad 288 in a time frame that overlapped Hazmat 1, right? So,
Really,
my dad, her dad worked together at some point.
crazy.
He retired out of Lower Manhattan as a battalion chief. Great family. So yeah.
You get married when?
In Preston, August 1st. So.
Oh, that's
He's going to be on his honeymoon. I mean, unless you forego the honeymoon again
Oh,
for the
well,
second time and come on the
first weekend in
4th.
August. unless you want a honeymoon on the boat.
Wedding,
You know what I mean?
So, honey, we can't go on the honeymoon.
To the wedding.
Yeah. You know what? I'll mail you your card, your membership card to the I Married Up Club.
All right. Well, maybe it'll get me on next year, right? I'll take a rain check.
You're one of those guys like Lee who gets invited every year.
So, which is a great time, by the way. So,
I think you know what time it is, Roof. You know what time it is?
I do know what time it is.
We don't have the sound effect.
Dun, 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 dun.
Let me do it
it's
like this.
Time for the old school tip of the day.
Let me give. Oh, I learned how to do this. There he is.
Got it. All right. So, while I kind of threw out some, I think, leadership nuggets along the way, things that had benefited me, I learned from and helped shape my, approach to being a fire officer and a fire chief. My old school tip of the day, it'll be a little maybe outside the norm, but it's a topic of a presentation I made a month and a half, 2 months ago at the Joey D Foundation seminar on Long Island. And it combines my experience as, chief of safety and chief of fire prevention, right? And, it's not BI, Lou, I promise. You don't
Thank you.
You don't have to queue up the nobody likes hockey guy tune, right? So no, my thing is we should all, and this is obviously to the next generations, during our daily routine, think a little bit, from a fire protection or life safety perspective about the things that can bite us, right? And take action. I'm not advocating that we go out and do BI all the time. Rather, we're in and out of all these buildings in our response areas regularly, right? Whether it's we're going to the grocery store to get the meal, whether we're doing BI by chance, whether we're at a CO run, an EMS run. And if we keep our eyes open, it's possible we can find something that can come back and bite us. And right, coincidentally, I'm giving this message at the Joey D Foundation seminar, right? Think about Black Sunday up in the Bronx and right, the illegal partitions that led to that tragic outcome. Think about Father's Day fire, right? Where you had all the illegal combustible liquid storage. So if somebody saw something and did something, right, we don't have to be focused, nonstop on the issue of fire prevention or building inspection, but yeah, find something, identify it, and take action. Another example is Michael Davidson fire, right? The fire up in Harlem that killed Lieutenant Davidson, right? Engine 69. It was in a building that was being used as a production set for the movie Motherless Brooklyn, and fire starts in the cellar, and he runs out of air, right, and can't make it to the outside. But there were all kinds of building modifications affiliated with the production process that could have maybe and should have been dealt with, scenery that might not have met all the requirements, but a biggie is that that building was sprinklered, right? It had a partial sprinkler system in it. It was a brownstone building that at one time was converted to a multiple dwelling. And as you know, I'm sure, Lou, in order to do that without secondary means of egress, they had to put in a partial system that protected the stairs and the public corridors, right? Well, the valve had been off. Who knows how long the valve had been off? And the kicker is that fire prevention had people in that building. The explosives unit was in that building and didn't take note of that, right? There was also another fire prevention unit in that building, and it wasn't part of their process, and I'm not blaming them. It wasn't part of their routine. But if we see something like that, perhaps, as firefighters, fire officers, we can take an action to prevent a tragic outcome. And so that's my tip of the day, right? Without, trying to advocate for more BI or getting us out to do just be observant, right? And maybe create a list of a top 5 or top 10 list of things, accumulations of rubbish, locked doors that are locked in a way that we're not going to be able to force our way out in an emergency, right? So come up with these things, and sprinkler valves, right? That's a biggie. Could impact the standpipe system as well, right? So that's my old school
Chief.
tip.
I say this all the time. We joke about the BI, but there's no doubt. I guarantee you, if you went to the firehouse right now, nobody wrote more SIDS than I did. Like, I wrote SIDS on EMS runs, like you just said. That's why it stuck out to me. Like, if I went there and we were working on somebody and I look over and I'm like, what the hell is that? Like, that shouldn't be, whatever it was. If they had the stair chair for the people, the older people on the stair, like, I would put that on a SIDS every time I would use that as my BI, as opposed to going out, trying to get into 6 buildings that I couldn't get into during the middle of the day. You know what I mean? So SIDS to me was always like a big thing. Like, I felt like that was something that, at any time people going to a job at 3 o'clock in the morning are going to get that. So that was,
without a doubt, right? I mean, that situational awareness. Yeah, I mean, and that's.
But going out at 2 p.m. for BI, maybe not. I don't know. I'm just saying.
I got you, man. I would have thought, right? That was the kind of the rub, right, or the irony of me going to fire prevention, right? Like, I hadn't done BI, being in SOC for 25 years. What do I know about fire prevention? And you're sending me there. But,
good stuff, man. I'm glad you're doing well. I'm glad we had you on finally. I know we waited till you officially got out.
An enjoyable experience. Hopefully, people are still awake when this.
They are. Congratulations on getting married soon, Chief, and you come on the next boat cruise. That's all.
I look forward to it.
I enjoyed very much working with you and listening to your whole career as well. But first, we have to talk about something that's near and dear to your heart. And Lieb, of course. I got to find it here.
Never heard of him.
Lieb? Who is this Lieb? Lieb. Don't know about him. Here it is. It's time for the old school health and safety tip of the day, but I can't find it. Yep. That's what happens, Ruffy, when you put me in charge. I can't find it.
All right.
Oh, I found it.
The First Responders Center for Excellence is a not-for-profit organization dedicated to protecting the lives and livelihoods of first responders. Their education and research initiatives aim to bring greater awareness and understanding the challenges to the health, safety, and well-being of firefighters, EMS personnel, and other first responders, too. They are an affiliate of the National Fallen Firefighter Foundation.
Yes, and tonight's old school health and safety tip is maintaining good mental health is crucial for firefighters who often face high-stress situations. Promote a culture of support and looking out for each other's well-being. I like that, Ruff.
I like it.
Good. All right.
It's kind of like just ball breaking in the firehouse.
Yeah.
Probably looking out for the well-being. I mean, guys do that, obviously, but
Chief,
they might break.
Thanks so much for coming on. Great career. Great show, fellow 210 alumni. Appreciate it. Thanks for all the inside stories on the rug. Can never get enough of those.
You can never get enough of the rug.
He was a character, certainly, momentous.
I'll tell it quick before we hang up. I don't know if I ever told this story. I'll tell a quick story. We're out to a German restaurant one time, Plattdeutsch. Not Plattdeutsch. What's the one on Marble Avenue? Zoom Standish.
Zoom Standish, yeah.
Now there's about 15 of us at the table, and he's riding me and riding
I was
me
there.
and
I was right
riding
next
me.
to you.
And, no, this was a different time.
And
riding me and riding me. And sitting at the table by himself is a highway cop, with the boots up to his knees. He's eating his dinner. So finally, I said I had enough. I turned to the cop. I go, officer, could you do me a favor, please? If that thing on the top of his head moves, just fucking shoot it. The guy spit his meal out on the table. Rugg didn't like that. He wasn't a good taker.
Didn't he say something like, what are you telling him that? He doesn't even know that this is a rug.
No, that was a different time.
That was a different time.
Yeah,
oh, my
you
God.
don't know
So
I have
horrible.
a rug on. I'm like, you don't even have a rug on. Holy shit. I can poke both my eyes out and I know you'd have a rug on, for Christ's sake. Nobody knows I have a rug on. Okay.
Keep up the great work, guys. Yeah, it was enjoyable.
Appreciate it. I'm sad you can't make it to the show, but don't forget, next weekend, the Long Island show, come out to see us. Who knows who's going to be standing in a circle talking about politics on the job. You never know.
Chief, don't hang up. Just stay on.
Yeah, don't hang up yet. We're going to sign out. And that's it, Ruff. Who do we have on next week? Charlie, who did I say?
Charlie Schmidt, you said, right?
Schmidt.
No, that's a different day. Charlie, Thomas account. Hold on a second. Let me see. Next week we have
Williams.
Charlie Williams coming on.
Oh, that'll be great. Yeah.
Good show. We got a lot of good guests coming out. Roofy's really doing his due diligence. He's going out to these retiree breakfasts. He's grabbing these old foggers and he's lassoing them in.
A lot of dust, Chief.
How about the guy who's 99 years old? You said, what's his name? Doodle or what was his name?
Dooley. Yeah.
Dooley. Is he up there in the head?
Oh yeah. No, he's It's unbelievable. You wouldn't believe he's 99.
We got to get him on the show. How do we get that guy on the show?
I'll get a hold of his son and see if I can connect you guys. Yeah.
Perfect.
See, people helping people. All right, guys. We will see you next week. Until then, you know what I say. Stay low and go. I also say F Gonzo on the way out. Thank you.
See you at the big one, everybody. Thanks again, Chief.